Everybody, back to the Fantasy Network. I am the booktube beefcake. Nuts. I don't know. That probably everyone just turned off the stream.
That was beautiful.
I thought it worked. Maybe we'll see. It's an A/B test. But I want to thank everybody for coming out, checking out the live stream, chatting with Nuts, episode 2. I've been looking forward to this all week, and I am joined by not a world hopper, but a time zone hopper. I'm talking to a man that is in the future. And this is my good friend Christian from Lost and Discovery. Christian, how is Saturday looking?
Saturday is a beautifully gloomy, awfully cold. Well, cold, not really. It's Australia, but like chilly morning. And I'm very happy to be here, man. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, we've been excited about this for a while. Christian is, I think I mentioned this last week. He's pretty much the main reason why I decided to go ahead and start doing this kind of podcast format. And really gave me like the final push over the edge. So I had to bring him on pretty much immediately. And I'm really glad that you're here. And we did a little dry run last night just to kind of talk and make sure the setup was good. We ended up talking for 2.5 hours. So to say that, this is going to come easy, I think is an understatement.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry, guys. We had so much good stuff to say yesterday and you all missed it. The director's cut is missing forever.
Yeah. I mean, uncut and raw, we'd probably lose some subscribers.
Yeah.
No, it was a good time. And I have to ask you, because, speaking of you living in Australia, me being an uncultured swine that I am very curious. What is considered like a cold day in Australia? Like, do you, what is it over there right now?
Oh, okay, because I do Celsius as well. So we might have to convert.
Oh, no.
But it's like 14 Celsius.
All right now. Let me bust out the Google machine.
Yeah.
14 Celsius to Fahrenheit. There has to be at least one other person that's like, yeah. All right. So that's 57. So that's exactly what it was here today.
Right.
So
what do you think about that?
I don't love it. I don't like, whenever I go to work out and I have to wear like a hoodie, but I'm still wearing shorts. It's kind of like whenever
it's that vibe.
Yeah. You see someone in shorts, but they're wearing Ugg boots, you're just like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I feel like April doesn't make a lot of sense. So.
Is it bad that we're talking about the weather like 2 minutes into the podcast? Have we run out of everything?
Well, I like to open it up with a little general chat, just to let the people flow in. We got Chris Bookish Cauldron in the chat, TW Raven, Shad, Kelsey. Kelsey's a huge fan of the show. She has to be because she's my wife. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped up. We're going to be talking a lot about Stormlight. I think we're going to touch on pretty much everything that we read. So, Mistborn, First Law, all the good stuff. Wheel of Time, The Song of Ice and Fire, even. And I think most people know, Christian, that you are a hallmark when it comes to Stormlight Archive content and Brandon Sanderson to the Cosmere, the whole thing. But what a lot of people might not know is Christian, has a lot more to say than just what's going to happen in the next Stormlight book, and that's something that we kind of talked about yesterday.
Yeah, I love Stormlight so much. It's definitely my favorite series. There's no question, and because of that, I make videos on it. And Stormlight's super popular, so the videos go better than all my other ones. But I'm so keen to talk about everything else I'm reading, because I think part of the fun of what I'm doing is. I had a massive reading break after Game of Thrones and rediscovered it with Sanderson, right? So it's you're seeing me basically go from noob to hopefully expert level fantasy knowledge, just step by step. We're covering all the building blocks of the classics one by one.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I feel like me and you kind of started a little bit of the same. Mine was a lull after A Song of Ice and Fire that got me back into fantasy. I just wanted to find more stuff like it, right? And find the next great thing. And I was not as well read as I am now because I just wasn't reading as much variety and different stuff. So me and you both, I think as our channels grow, so does our understanding of the genre and what people might like and what we like as readers. So I think it's kind of interesting that I know you see other booktubers, and they're so prolific, and they're very good at articulating their thoughts, and they've read all these classics. Andy Smith's read so many books. Chris Bookish Cauldron has read so many books.
Yeah.
Me and you, We're the farm team. We're on minor league.
No, dude, I'm even less than you. Look at your bookshelf. That's beautiful.
A bookshelf tour is coming soon. I got
Oh, seriously?
I've been haggled
Yes.
about it so often. I think I might film that this week. We'll see. No promises. I got a lot of videos to put out. Definitely going to be reviewing the Live Ship Trader trilogy, which I have 100 pages left in the last book. And Christian, I'm telling you, a book that evokes emotion. I can't think of many that are in the same realm as this. I mean, it is
Seriously. Have you teared up?
who not only did I tear up, I got mad, man. Like I got mad reading that Ship of Destiny, not in a bad way where I'm like, I hate Robin Hobb, but like mad is in like the decisions of the characters that are making and just like they let you down a lot.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst feeling.
And that's kind of what happens in real life too. People let you down, right?
Yeah. Well, that's good though, because you want your stories to be relatable.
Yeah.
But I haven't I'm trying to think if I've been like super let down by a character. Maybe not for a while.
Well, if you ever read Live Ship, you'll be real disappointed by some of the decisions that these characters make. I mean, I literally like I could have finished the book last night. I put it down. I was like, I got to put it down. I was like, I have to just take a break because I'm so angry.
I've had that moment before. I took like a week off after the Red Wedding. I just couldn't. I just had to just reset.
I said to a couple people, I said, this event that happens in Ship of Destiny is the maddest I've been since Gurm did my boy Ned wrong. Like that.
Dang,
like,
that's huge.
Yeah, and it's a different type of situation, is all I'll say. It's not necessarily someone getting the old chopping block, but it's something else that I think is just as impactful and just like mind-boggling that anyone would let happen. But I'm excited to be putting those out. You, however, are in the this is actually I said everyone come check out the podcast and live stream. I'll be honest. This is an intervention for you, Christian, because I think you've officially lost your marbles. I go to the Lost in Discovery. I get my alert because I have the bell turned on, and I see that you are in the middle of deciphering the ending of a 10-book series that only have 4 books out. So why don't you? I know you go over it in the video, but just give me a little. Where was your mind at whenever you decided to do this?
Basically, I have no friends, and this is what I've decided to do instead.
I think we're all your friends here.
Man, like the thing was like, okay, Rhythm of War finished. Everyone's made, their videos about what happened in Rhythm of War. Like, if you want to have discussions about the 4th book, everything's there.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about the building blocks of the series, most things are there. Like, and I can still make videos on that, and hopefully people will be interested. But like, what's the most fun thing to do between epic fantasy books? And that's speculate, right? That's so right. I just thought, all right, what's the most, like, how much fun can I have with this, and how much like longevity can I get out of it? Because I wanted to do a series, right? Mm-hmm. And then I explain it in the video, like Sanderson straight up says the ending is in the first 2 books. He says it, like, confirmed. The ending is there. And that just sounded like a challenge to me. I was like, all right, bring it on.
If there's anybody that could do it, it's you.
Well, I'm trying, man. I'm not like, I cannot promise that I'm going to find it. I'm almost absolutely certain I won't find it, but it's journey before destination, right? I feel like we'll find a lot of things on the way. That's what's going to be fun.
It's the friends we made along the way. That's what I keep telling myself about, Song of Ice and Fire. I said, it doesn't matter.
It's the friends we lost along the way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's actually a better way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
Al the Chicken says, I lack friends as well, but there's definitely tons of info on the death rattles I've been looking into too.
Yeah, there is a lot there.
Yeah, I mean,
and already in my second app, I'm already finding things that are blowing my mind.
Yeah, I think that your first video is my favorite piece of Stormlight material I've actually watched. I really enjoyed your Herald's video. And if anybody who's coming and checking, I know TW said they were checking out the stream because of you, which is awesome. But if anyone's here and they're a regular viewer of me and you haven't seen Christian's channel, Lost in Discovery, it's linked in the description. You have to check it out. I mean, just tremendous content, definitely for Stormlight, but also for First Law. We made a video together. And
yes, we did.
And I love that video. I really enjoyed that.
I'm so proud of our video. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually so happy with it.
That was my first collaboration. I had been on the platform for over a year. That was the first official collaboration I did.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
happy with it.
Yeah, it
So
was
polished.
yeah,
We just killed it.
there was no pressure. Whenever we
No.
talked about it, it's kind of like, do what you want, and send it to me whenever. And it was just a really, I mean, it felt like two friends, right? Like,
Yeah, and like we spoke about going live together first, but I was like,
yeah,
let's just come out like with more of a polished,
yeah.
beautiful little video.
And
And I'm
that's
just
why
so pleased
I mean,
with how
that's
it
why
came
we
out.
had you edit it, because your video editing is tremendous. I mean, absolutely one of my favorite on the platform. I think of you and Captured in Words, being my two favorites when it comes to like lore videos. So I knew I had,
Thanks, man. Like he's on another level. I'm not gonna lie, like he's legit.
yeah,
I'm just trying to keep up.
yeah. I
Ken Burns
mean,
effect.
yeah, it's all about the Ken's Burns. I mean, that's all I
Dude,
really know.
it's an effective one.
This makes me happy. Andrew Krause says the first law video is how I found this channel. That is fantastic.
Oh,
I'm
that's
so
awesome,
happy.
man.
For someone like me who is a diehard First Law fan, like I love Joe Abercrombie, and it's kind of weird. I don't have a lot of content about him on the channel other than my not breach of peace. Oh my god. Oh god. I can't even think of book two, but
Your
book.
breach of peace review, where is it?
I didn't get hooked up, bro. I didn't get hooked up.
Mm,
I'm a little
come on, man.
salty.
Have
Uh,
your people call his people.
yeah, he never picks up. Never picks up. Noel says, "What do you guys think about the baby champion theory for Stormlight Archive?" I am not familiar with this, and I wanted to pull this on screen. Christian, have you heard of this?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. The baby champion. Okay, there is one. I don't know this theory, but I can kind of put it together because of what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
And we'll keep this. If you haven't read Stormlight, this will be so vague that it won't spoil anything for you.
Okay. Cool.
But there is a death rattle, where we're getting dark here, but it seems like someone's holding a baby or a child at like knife point, you might want to say, and it seems like they have to kill this baby to save the world in some sense. So I'm guessing what Noel is saying is Odium using like a child, an innocent child, as his champion to like test our heroes to their absolute limit. I'm guessing that's what that is.
Interesting.
Which could work. I'm saving that death rattle for way later, but yeah.
Yeah, so we might see it in the as someone said in the chat, the Sherlock in Discovery video, which I love that. That's
yes, tinfoil in Discovery. That's it.
Yeah, I enjoy that. And Al the Chicken says, any ideas on what the Night of Sorrows will be? I think Brando has said we haven't seen it. Now it's been a bit since I've read the books. I read Rhythm of War and then I put it down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, what is the Night of Sorrows?
Night of Sorrows is going to be either episode 3 or 4 of my series, actually, because
Okay.
Night of Sorrows is something that comes up infrequently, but enough to be like, what? And there is a death rattle that refers to the night, like the Night of Sorrows is coming, like we're screwed, basically. And the only other time you hear about it is in like Dalinar's original visions in The Way of Kings, and he keeps getting warned about the Night of Sorrows is coming. And it's related to the Everstorm, but like it's mentioned usually in the same sentence, but it's not the same thing. Like it's clearly not that. So I'm thinking that's going to be Endgame, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting stuff. Chris Bookish Cauldron says you can tell he's going to be lost or he has not read the series.
Yeah, we won't get too bogged down in like the details.
Yeah, of course. One thing I do like to always ask, what people's favorite series is. I think Stormlight's probably your favorite series. Right? That you said that.
Yeah.
Why? Why is Stormlight the one?
Okay. Oh, how much time do we have?
All night.
Well, like, what got me into, like, what got me so into Stormlight? It wasn't really the epic fantasy nature of it. It was literally just Kaladin's arc in the first book. I just got so caught up in Kaladin's struggle with Bridge 4, and just the payoff was probably one of the best payoffs I've ever experienced. Yeah. I think you've got to agree, like the ending of The Way of Kings is just such a glorious moment, and you just feel so energized and like you feel like you got through something.
Yeah.
And after that, I was just like, all right, I'm in. I'm attached to these characters. And I guess I know I didn't say it was the world, but at the same time, it was just such a colorful and interesting world as soon as you start, like the
Yeah.
spren and stuff. When
Yeah.
I saw a book this chunky and like badass looking, I wasn't expecting like little cute little spren
Yeah.
everywhere. And that kind of, it just kind of kept surprising me.
Yeah.
And that was like the initial pull.
I think
And yeah.
I think that's like a really good point. Like talking about like the spread, like it was just different, right?
Yeah. It's so different. Because like when I was recommended this, I was like, okay, like let's see how they do Game of Thrones. Like
Yeah.
basically, I was
Yeah.
like, let's see how this Sanderson dude does Tolkien or Game of Thrones. Because like that's how newbie I was. I was like, this is fantasy. You either do it like dark or traditional. But then I got Spren and Sky Eels and like weird shit. And that was great.
Yeah, I think if you could say one thing for Stormlight Archive, even if it's not your cup of tea, I think it would be pretty hard to argue that it's not pretty damn inspired. It feels very, you can tell this is his baby, right? This is
Yeah.
the thing he really wants to do. And I love the world. I love Spren. And I said this in my review, and I always have to go back to it. I remember just reading Way of Kings and being like, oh, Spren are like quantum mechanics. Like
Oh, really?
yeah, it's very much like photons, and
Mm.
there's like a point where it's in Way of Kings, and they're just talking about how the Spren are interacting with light or something, and I'm like, this is literally like photons, like the fact that whenever you actually, or even particle physics, like when you study a particle, it acts different than when you don't look at it. And he even like slid that in there, and I just thought that was
Yeah,
awesome.
like when when those guys were studying the flame spread and they were like
Yeah,
changing when they were
th-
note taking.
that's exactly it. And that actually
Yeah.
does happen in our world in quantum physics, which I thought was
Right.
just awesome to include. One thing I will say, let's try to keep it pretty spoiler free, because I see people are saying, there's spoilers. I think we're going to keep it pretty spoiler light, I would say.
Yeah, we're not gonna trust me. Like I hate to spoil people. We'll be very careful.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive to spoilers. Pretty sure what I read.
And the thing is, like, I didn't really see this coming. I probably should have. I'm not the most scientifically educated person. I'm not afraid to admit it. But like it's like he's created his own kind of science for
Yeah.
the entire Cosme universe that he has.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people have complained because it almost got to like lecture territory in the more recent books, but I found it really satisfying.
I think if there was one thing that'd be interesting, the fact that I actually agree with you. I think it did get almost a little bit lectury in Rhythm of War without going into any details. But as someone who loves that stuff, I actually found myself kind of missing a little bit of the familiar beats from book 1 and 2 when it came to that. But I feel like and I've said this, I think Rhythm of War is going to be much better on a reread. I think once you have more context to the things that are being explained, I think a lot of that payoff is going to come down the road. I think it's a very hard book to write, to be honest. It being penultimum to the fifth book. That's the ending of the first arc. So,
yeah, and I definitely think like when you await a release of a book in your favorite series, you just kind of want to know what happens, like straight away. And that's what you're focused on. Like, what's the plot? Like, what's going to be the cliffhanger? What's going to be our big highlight? And it's like hard to appreciate all the little things on your first read.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what, makes this a great series, because you can go back and reread it a lot of times. I mean, I definitely think it's Sanderson's best work. I'm pretty up and down on him, as most people know. I'm curious, where did you start with Brandon Sanderson when you started reading him?
Yeah, and I'll definitely agree. Like he's flawed for sure. I'm not going to whitewash him, but yeah.
I'm a little curious, Christian. Is there a line in Way of Kings that you may or may not hate?
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I'll mention this and then I'll say where I started with Sanderson. It's just like this line in The Way of Kings. No spoilers again. It's like Kaladin just kind of messes up and he's like on the floor, and the boys keep carrying the bridge for him. Like his team is carrying a bridge. Kaladin is tired or whatever. I don't remember. He couldn't carry it, and he's like, "Wait, guys, don't go." And then he goes, "Oh, those idiots. I still love them though." Like he says it like out loud, and I was just, all right, I'm just gonna quickly erase that. And
It's a
we'll keep
terrible
going with
line.
the story. It's just so bad. Like maybe if he thought it and he was like, "Those idiots, like love the boys," but like the fact that he like said it out loud as he's like on the floor, like, "Ugh, love those guys."
Yeah, I said it yesterday. It sounds like a tweet or something.
Yeah, it just felt weird. It felt weird. And sometimes Sanderson does kind of weird stuff and like weird lines that are just like just awkward. But
Yeah.
that's like, you know, if you write like a billion 1,000-page books, there's going to be some weird little things, but they're
Yeah.
nothing major.
No one's flawless. And I'm glad because I mean, it's your favorite series. You're a diehard. I'd say you're one of the biggest Stormlight fans ever. And, you know, it's good that you can have a good laugh at a pretty bad line.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot of great lines also. Let's be honest.
Oh, there's a lot of great lines.
There's more great than
And
bad, for sure.
yeah, for sure. But I did the thing that everyone tells you not to do and I started with The Way of Kings, which is a big no-no by all counts of Sanderson fans. They're like, don't read this. You are not ready. You are not educated enough to read this book because you need to do your bachelor's in fantasy before you can read The Way of Kings.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to booktube jail.
Yeah, it's like everyone says you need to like do your understudy of Mistborn, and then if you pass, you can read the Stormlight Archive. And I disagree. I don't think it's a bad idea to start with The Way of Kings.
Yeah. I actually kind of wish I had, because I kind of went around, I don't know. I didn't go around the order of it, but I started with Mistborn, which I think is a pretty fair entry port.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad entry point either. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if I regret it or not, but I definitely went into it like thinking Mistborn was going to blow my mind, and I actually think book 1 was pretty good. I mean, whatever, like maybe some of the writing kind of graded me a little bit, but I thought like the plot of book 1 was phenomenal. And then it lost me in book 2 and 3. So I came out of it with a very lukewarm experience, and I kind of got down on Sanderson, and then Way of Kings just completely changed my opinion. I said, oh, there is a lot of good here. Like, this might not be someone I'm going to like every single book that he releases, but like he's a guy that I'm going to read. Like, I'm going to check out.
Yeah, like you always want to see what he's doing, right? And I feel like Mistborn is so strong plot-wise. Like his plotting is great, in my opinion, for Mistborn, but like how he wrote characters and stuff is way weaker than what he does now in Stormlight.
Yeah, he definitely, he definitely grew as a writer, I would say, for sure.
Yeah.
And someone here has asked, what are we currently reading? Also, great mic quality from both of you. That means a lot.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Very good audio.
we talked about that before, and we were just like kind of, so we look official on the screen, don't we? Just a little bit.
This setup is unattainable by most people, I would say. No, I'm joking. This is very thrown together, but thank you so much. I've got the standard YouTuber mic, the Blue Yeti. Like you can't go wrong.
It works. It
works. It is so good for what you pay for it. It is so good.
I've been thoroughly impressed with everyone I've had on the channel, actually, in the audio quality that's come out of it. I've been very happy with it. But as far as what I'm currently reading, I'm reading Ship of Destiny. I have about 100 pages left of that, and a Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. And I am also in book 4, probably about a quarter of the way through Dark Tower book 4, which is Wizard in the Glass. And both books are just blowing my minds. I mean, I can't pick. It's hard to pick which one I want to read the most of, to be honest. But
that's a good situation to be in.
It is.
To not know.
Very lucky.
I am reading The Great Hunt by our boy Robert Jordan.
RJ.
The man, the myth, the legend. The Wheel of Time. I'm doing it. And I'm enjoying it so much more than Eye of the World. So much more. It's like literally 5 times as like better. 5 times better than the Eye of the World easily. But this sounds so bad, but I kind of have a problem. Like reading The Wheel of Time makes me sleepy. This sounds really bad, but I find it so cozy. It's just such a cozy read, and I just kind of and it makes me go through it quite slowly, but I am enjoying it.
Yeah, it's definitely a longer read. I had a lot of trouble sitting down and reading 100 pages at a time until you get to the climaxes of any Wheel of Time book. Like that is definitely one thing that Robert Jordan does extraordinarily well. Is he captures your attention with those last 200 pages. Also, I laughed whenever I saw that T.W. Raven asking, "Will the two of us be doing it regularly?" We don't know.
Maybe. Let's see how well this goes.
Yeah.
How many people watching? I have no idea. I can't see.
Everyone that's important is here.
Fantastic. You're all part of the family.
I love The Great Hunt, man. I really do. I think it's interesting because me and you have pretty similar taste in books. Everyone, there's a lot of crossover, right? You hated the end scenes in Eye of the World, which I think is so funny because I love the end. I like end scenes no matter where I am, right?
Look,
like any book, right?
Look, Jimmy, don't do this to me right now.
I'm on the spot.
Okay, let's clarify. I won't correct. Let's clarify.
Okay.
I like a good end scene. Get down with the boys, the girls. Let's have a pint. Let's talk it out. What's our next move?
Some glasses with the hobbits.
Where are we going? Yeah, we're going to Isengard. What's up? And that's cool.
Let's do it.
But legit, 80% of Eye of the World is an pub crawl. Like they're literally just going to different inns. And it's like, oh, should I play the flute or the harp tonight? And then every time it's like, oh, they sang, I don't know, The Horse in the Stream, but they sang it with different lyrics in this part of the world. I guess there's the same songs, but different lyrics. And he says that every time. It was like the same inn scene every time. And then there's a guy in a hood. Oh no, who's that guy? I wonder who it is. And it's just like, I love a good inn scene, but there's just too many. There's just too many.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe that's my blind spot because I'm always I'm trying to figure out who's got the good mead in town. I want to know what is it a bowl brown or are we having lamb leg?
I mean, fair point. I think the Prancing Pony is still number one as far as I'm concerned.
You might be correct. I mean, the Green Dragon would like to have a word with you, mister.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Stormlight is severely lacking in scenes.
Yeah, it's
severely lacking.
1 out of 5.
Yeah. Easily.
Immediately drop from my TBR for the future. No end scenes.
I think it's got to go. Yeah.
Oh, y'all are saying in scene, not in scene. That's actually really funny. I really felt like Eye of the World. I liked it. I like Tolkien derivative stuff, even though I really appreciate when someone steps out of Tolkien's shadow. I think Hobb does that immensely well, but I really enjoy whenever we get something that pays homage to what kind of help propel fantasy forward.
For sure.
Great Hunt is where I think RJ stepped up, and when I say RJ, I mean Robert Jordan. I probably should just call him Robert Jordan. But old RJ, I think really stepped up. I do agree with you. I think when I read Wheel of Time, it's a slow burn. I am so excited for you to get to the end of The Great Hunt.
A lot of people have told me that. I feel like it's either it's probably gonna. Knowing me, I get very excited by hype endings. Being a fan of Sanderson, the Sanderlanche, and he'll get me. I'm sure he will with the end of The Great Hunt. I'm sure he will.
To give you an idea, whenever The Great Hunt ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how in the world are there 12 more books? Like, it was that epic where I was like, wait, this is book 2, right? Not book 12 or 14. Like,
right.
That's how epic it is. And it's just really a bold move to go so big and so hard, in a second entry of a series. But you're going to love it. I promise you.
Yeah, I've had that a few times, especially with Sanderson. Yeah. I know I'm keep talking about him, but like the ending of Oathbringer, I was like, is this the series finale?
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too. I got a little confused at the end of Oathbringer too. And
it was great. It was like sensory overload. It was like, hey, here's 800 pages of like slow introspective book, and then like the rest is a battle.
Yeah,
and you're just like, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. I'm really excited to see what you end up thinking about that. I saw someone ask if how does live ship compare to Farseer, in my opinion. It's a little too early to tell because I got to see exactly how live ship ends. There's so many things at stake in the last 100 pages here. I
Hmm.
think that live ship is a more consistent trilogy than Farseer, but I still think Fitz, Burrich, and Shade and Ketrican and Patience, like the whole cast from Farseer, is my favorite. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I also think that the plot in Live Ship is just insanely good. Man, I don't know if I could pick one between the two. I'm trying to get Christian on the Robin Hobb train. That's actually the goal of this stream. It's not even an intervention for his conspiracy theories of Stormlight. It's actually to get him into the realm of the Elderlings.
Yeah, like, and you totally have sold me on it. But this is the thing. Once you start a channel, the amount of recommendations you get
Yeah,
is insane.
you're right.
And you just don't know what to prioritize, what to read.
Yeah.
And you're like, what am I interested in? What do you think I could make a video on? It's like the awful part of like your hobby starts. You start to think, will this make a good video? Like it's bad to say it, but you start to think like that.
Yeah, I've
Um,
definitely thrown caution to the wind when it comes to that.
hmm,
You know,
hmm.
I'm like, you know what? If 10 people watch it, it is what it is, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I think that Realm of the Elderlings has really been a kind of a big step up in my channel. I've had a lot of Robin Hobb fans subscribe recently. I think I'm at 1,999 subs right now. So that's really
Let's get to 2K
I mean,
tonight.
we're basically at 2K, and I think a big part of that one, thank you to Petrick from Petrick Reads, Petrick Leo for the shout out. It gave me an immense amount of new people to come and see my content, which I can't thank him enough. But also a lot of Robin Hobb. I feel like there's just people wanting to talk about Robin Hobb because of the way she writes.
Yeah.
Very Germ like with how well she crafts her characters and takes care of them and really puts them through changes. I think that's like the number one thing that I could say about Robin Hobb is I've never seen someone walk through progression of characters that's not just a linear path, like a very much a detour here,
Yeah.
it's messy. And I mean that in a good way. It's messy like our real lives, right?
Hmm.
So I think it's really, really cool.
I
Really,
love that. Like, I love just a realistic take.
yeah,
But
I
that's
think
like what got me into fantasy, right? Like, A Song of Ice and Fire just felt so real. And if you messed up, you messed up. And
yeah,
that's part
real
of life.
stakes. There were real stakes, and that's what I
Yeah.
like in my fantasy. I like consequences. I like stakes, and that's something that Robin Hobb does immensely well. I think Gurm does a phenomenal job as that as well. And I think Joe Abercrombie
Mm.
does a really good job of that. And I feel like Joe Abercrombie and Robin Hobb have a lot more in common than anyone would ever think. And I've even thought about making a video about it. So, um,
Yeah, man. All these things that you're saying you think you should make a video, you definitely should.
yeah, probably.
Definitely.
I mean, it's definitely one of those series that you can go back and that you can read and really enjoy. Speaking of, Farseer, and there's things you'll miss, just like we're talking about Stormlight. I mean, it's weird because when you talk about the big hitters in fantasy, you talk about Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah, of
Talk about A
course.
Song of Ice and Fire.
Hmm.
We talk about Stormlight, and then you got King's Killer is on there too. I'd say
Yeah.
I
Which is
don't.
impressive for how little of it there is, right?
And what do you feel is the reason why King's Killer is put up there?
Well, look, I basically know nothing about it besides like it's that we're waiting for book 3, and you were telling me how amazing the writing is, right?
Yeah, I've only read the first page. Writing was tremendous.
Oh wait, that's what, okay. I
I
thought
only
you
read
read the
page
whole
one.
book.
I've read
Well,
page
like,
one of every book I own, by the way.
oh,
Unless
seriously,
unless if it's a sequel or something. But if it's a book one, I always read the first page of every book I buy.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's like a little test run,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I'm assuming a lot of the book 3 hype is to do with that, but it can't just be carrying it that far. It must be really good
So
on
I
some level,
think,
right?
yeah, I agree. And I also think that the reason why King's Killer and all the other series are up there is because there's an amount of depth to the story or the character,
Right.
one or the
Yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
And it bewilders me that when we talk about the Mount Rushmore of fantasy, that Robin Hobb doesn't have her face carved into it. I can't believe that Realm of the Elderlings doesn't get discussed as much as these other series. It blows my mind. I mean, really. And
That's good though, man, because you can propel it up.
Oh, I'm on a mission.
Throw it in front of people's
I'm
eyes.
on a mission, my friend, to get more people. And it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Just like some people don't like Stormlight, some people don't like Song of Ice and Fire. That is what it is.
That's fine though.
But
That's just how it is.
Largely, there's a vast amount of people that could get into Realm of the Elderlings, and I'll do my best to go on that crusade as I continue to make my way through it this year. You kind of mentioned, and I wanted to ask you, how did you find yourself in the fantasy realm? Like was it Lord of the Rings, Song of Ice and Fire, something that you keep bringing up? But like, what was the day where you said, "Oh, I like this. I like elves."
I like elves, specifically elves. Those ears, right? No, like what got me into fantasy? All right, we're going back. We're going way back, and this story's just come to me. This was not pre-thought of before the stream, so you're hearing it live now, people. Like obviously I was obsessed with Harry Potter as a child. My mum, read me the Philosopher's Stone, as we call it in civilized culture, not the Sorcerer's Stone, Jimmy, I'm sorry to say.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. No. It's Sorcerer sounds good too. No shade to my American friends. But yeah, mum read me the Philosopher's Stone before it came out at the movies. And, I wanted to be Harry Potter. I literally had not because of the movie, but I wore glasses as a child. I had the circle glasses. I was convinced I was going to be Harry Potter at that point. And mind you, what did it come out? 2001? I was 6. So I was right at that age where it's it's gonna ingrain itself into me forever. And but what got me into fantasy as we know it, now, that kind of Lord of the Rings vibe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Komodo Sanders, for that very lovely comment, by the way. What was happening? I don't know what we were doing, but we were at a drive-through movie theater, and our car is facing the movie we're watching, whatever it was, some happy family, la-di-da movie.
Right.
And I looked out the trunk of my car, and I saw Frodo, and he was fighting a spider. And I was like, that movie looks freaking awesome. I'm kind of scared, but that looks so good. And I just looked at what we were watching, and then I looked at Frodo with his glowing sword. I was like, what is this? Because people say Harry Potter, but that's everyone started with Harry Potter in our generation.
A little bit of a gateway drug.
Yeah, it's the gateway drug. I would practice spells with my plastic wand.
Did you ever succeed or no?
No, but I really thought if I believed it enough, I would.
Well, I think it had a lot to do with your attitude. I mean, it sounds like you were defeated before.
I need to seek the void, isn't it? That's what I got to do. Got to find the void.
I'm gonna send you a wand, and remember, it's Leviosa.
Leviosa. No, I was doing Rictus Sempra. Rictus Sempra was my spell. I was obsessed with it.
All right.
It was red. It's what he did against Malfoy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Harry Potter low key gave me some trauma. Dobby in the Chamber of Secrets terrified the shit out of me.
Really?
I could not see that movie because Dobby was horrifying. I thought he was the devil.
Did you find Gollum to be scary?
Well, the thing was I had, responsible parents. So they were like, no, you're not watching this violent business of Lord of the Rings. So I didn't get to watch it till I was in my teenage years. So I was chill with Gollum. Gollum's kind of cute, right?
Yeah.
But Dobby's kind of freaky. You got to admit.
I would agree with you, actually. I think, I don't know, actually. So I just rewatched the trilogy, and I actually think Gollum is, I'm more creeped out by Gollum now than I was when I was 12, which is strange. You're right. I think Dobby is he's too quick.
Yeah, and just how he showed up in his room, and it's a close-up, it got to me. And before that, I was terrified of E.T. That was my childhood, I was scared of E.T. Yeah, so something about these little alien skin thingies.
They can fit under your bed. I think
that's not ideal. Yeah, but it was Lord of the Rings, and then I was a massive gamer, right? And what really fully propelled me into fantasy was the first Fable game. Not to make this about video games, but the first Fable game.
Yeah, let's go.
I was I'm into fantasy. I'm all the way in.
That's so interesting. So Sir Matt, who I had on last week, you were in the chat and we were talking about Fable. I think we're going to do an episode on his video game podcast about Fable.
Yeah, so good.
What a
Such
game.
a good game.
You know, that's one of those games where it's like, man, I kind of wish they'd write books in that universe. I would read those.
Yeah, Albion, it was so fun. It's like
Yeah.
it's just so British. It's just dripping
It's
with
so
that
British.
British humor, you know?
Oh man. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's great. And it was just kind of light, but it had a bit of that darkness too. And
Yeah.
yeah, Fable's the best. The Brothers Gwyn, amazing channel as well, by the way. It's so cool to see everyone here.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that a lot of people probably started with like the Lord of the Rings movies, the Harry Potter movies. But when was the first time you yourself picked up a book, and what was that book? I'm very curious.
Wow. Okay, if we want to go, oh my God, like you're bringing back all my early stuff.
I want to know what
But
any Christian was up to.
yeah. Well, not too much to be honest, but in regards to fantasy, um, it was actually probably around the same time I started playing Fable. I started reading Del Toro Quest. Do you know these books?
No, educate me.
Del Toro Quest is it's by an I believe she's Australian, so that's probably why I found it, because it would be in like my primary school library or whatever. They like obviously will push Australian authors. It's by Emily Rodda, and it's just like badass 3D kind of holographic cover, like dude in armor, and there's like a whole collection, and like on the spine of the book there's like 10 gems, and each book like a new gem is like filled in. So I was like, oh, this is like a
Oh,
quest to like
yeah.
get all these gems. And this is like, you know, like fantasy for like middle school or like
Yeah.
elementary school kids. And I flew through those. I don't remember anything about them, but that was like a quest. You know, it was like Lord of the Rings light, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
bunch of moody teens trying to save the world.
Wait, Wheel of Time?
Pretty much. Pretty much. And they were like thin books. But those like that's where I started. And then I kept trying to read, and like what my last probably attempt at reading after Harry Potter was Maximum Ride. Do you know this series? Like
No.
the winged. It's like a major like YA kind of thing.
I've read very little YA.
Yeah, it's like really YA, and it's like these teenagers who can grow wings and fly. I don't like that's all I remember about it. I think it's been adapted into like graphic novels and stuff. It's huge. It's by is it by James Patterson? So like obviously it will be massive.
Okay. Okay.
Um it was that, and I was just like, this kind of sucks. And I just stopped reading. I was like, video games. Video games are better than reading.
Yeah, we definitely grew up during the boom period of video games too, right?
Oh
So
yeah, baby. Halo 3.
yeah, I mean, it was hard to keep my attention on them, but that's why I fell out. You know, I read Lord of the Rings, and then obviously had Harry Potter. I read the Halo books actually. Did you ever
Oh,
read the Halo
nice.
books?
No, I didn't. I was just like, if it's canon, it'll be in the game. Like I was so annoying.
I wonder if they're any good as adult. Probably not. But like it goes through like the prequel, like Halo Reach is based off of the book, I believe. And the first trilogy of Halo is basically him becoming Master Chief.
Right.
I liked it. Again, I was like 15, 16, so I don't know how they would hold up today. If anyone's read them as adults in the chat, please let me know. But
Yeah, I could imagine being really impressed by that as like a teenager. Like, there's an origin story for Master Chief. Like,
yeah, and this is between Halo 2 and 3. So
yeah,
I'm sitting there like, what's going on? Because I was really into the campaign as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
those books were monumental for me, like bridging the gap where like I didn't give up totally on reading. And then when I became an adult, it just kind of went to the wayside for everything. But I feel like I missed out on a lot of that like really good YA times. I know people like don't love YA, like I don't actively read it or anything like that. I mean, I guess I read Mistborn.
Yeah, I wouldn't like people try to make that YA. I don't really think it is.
I'm just poking the bear.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm being a bit of I'm being sassy. I don't really think it's YA.
I'm like, yes, Vin is like 16, but that doesn't make it YA.
Yeah.
I think it's like a good bridging the gap from YA to like adults.
I would agree. It's pretty overtly violent. Like there's a lot of violence in Mistborn.
It's way more violent than Stormlight, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. But
People are
yeah,
exploding.
I don't really think that. I just kind of wanted to poke the bear a little bit, but I feel
Yeah.
like I missed out on the YA. Like I wish I could have been at the time period in my life where like that was meant for me and I read more.
Hmm.
And it sounds like you actually got that experience.
A little bit, like a little bit. And I think we all forget how different we are as teenagers. And
Yeah.
like certain things can feel revolutionary when you're 15. Like this love triangle, I'm like feeling this, when you're 15. But
Yeah.
now we're like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Why aren't we, but like there is a place for YA. Like I think a lot of people still love those series because
Oh,
of
yeah.
how well they actually do identify with the teenage audience. Like there's a place for it for
Yeah.
sure.
I think, and it's also important to give people who are in a stage of their life something they can relate to, because they remember as a teenager, your parents would tell you it's not a big deal, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, and you're just like, it matters to me, damn it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
This is the end of the world
yes,
right
I
now.
have to go to prom, right? And I feel like the YA books bring some sort of levity and just overall weight to the YA type of situations, but I also like don't fault anyone who reads YA as an adult because they are easier reads, to be honest. Like they're much more like leisure in my
Sometimes
opinion.
you just want to chill,
Yeah.
like comfortable read. That's cool.
What is your chill, comfortable read? Like what do you reach for whenever you
Oh,
just need to relax?
probably like it sounds strange, but like a shorter, like well, right now I read manga like just for an easy read because it's like there's pictures, there's
What
less
manga do you like?
writing.
Yeah, what manga do you like?
Um, well, I'm obsessed with Attack on Titan, obviously, and I would read that as it came out. So that's like not one I go back to sit down with. It was kind of like each month, oh, it's out today, and
Yeah.
I read it. I showed you yesterday. I'm starting to read horror manga,
Yeah, that
and
was
like because I
interesting.
can't, yeah, like I can't handle horror movies and stuff like that. Like I don't want to be terrified,
Yeah.
but um, I like manga because it's just like very simple. And I'm reading Death Note right now, which is like it's just fun. It's
I've
just
had Death
nice
Note
and easy.
recommended to me. So I haven't read any manga. The only thing I've ever really tried, anime wise, is Attack on Titan, which I so far I really really enjoy the story. It's just the American dub, the screaming really grates me. So I
Oh
think
man,
I'm
I
actually
told
going.
you.
I know. I think I'm gonna pick up the manga and try to read it.
I recommend reading it
Yeah.
because like for me, like I literally cannot deal with the American dub of Attack on Titan. I think it's literally awful.
It's pretty bad.
It's bad. It's straight
Pretty
up bad. And like fine if you listen to it, that's cool. Not everyone wants to read subtitles. Fine. Um but I feel like it just when like I said to you, when the Japanese voice actors are yelling, it just doesn't feel weird to me. It just kind of works. I don't know why. Don't have a problem with it. So
yeah.
yeah, that's just for me. And someone in the chat says Ito is the man. Yeah, Junji Ito is the guy I'm reading right now for horror manga. He's really good.
I'm a complete and utter noob when it comes to Attack on Titan. All I will say is I think it was episode like 4 or something. Blew my mind. Like an oh my god moment. So I'm pretty sold on trying to give that another shot, I think. So
Yeah, it definitely matures a lot. It's like a kind of a wild ride for a while, but then you realize the world's really deep. There's actually like a huge story at play, which is kind of happening in the background, and like it's a way deeper series as you get into it. So like I can see why people might think it's a bit like simplistic at the beginning, but it grows into um what it is. And yes, I read Uzumaki
yeah, I brought
One
it up because
Emperor.
I know that was the one you're reading, right?
Yeah, I just finished it. I'm gonna make a video on it. It was messed up. It's about this town that gets haunted, I guess you could say, by like spiral patterns. So anything that has a spiral could be like a snail, it could be your pasta, it could be anything. Watch out. It's gonna mess you up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dylan just did a thing here, and we got to bring it up because me and you have collaborated on First Law. Said reading heroes now, you got to get into standalones. I keep telling this man over here, I said you got to get in this. Let's go because heroes
Yes.
in Red Country, the whole lot of them are so good, and Abercrombie's writing gets better and better and better.
Oh, you've told me, man, and everyone's told me, and I have them. They're just sitting there. I really miss Joe. Um,
His writing is so
yeah.
fun. So
I
it's
love
funny.
reading his. I just love how he phrases things.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
get
great.
into a groove with him, and when I get into a groove
Yeah.
with Abercrombie, I can roll. Like, I think I legit think I read 4 of his books in, like, 10 days or something like that.
Oh my god, that's actually impressive.
What's up, Jim Bob? Jim Bob is my good friend. Good to see you, Jim. But yeah, it's funny. I asked you what you read for comfort, and you're kind of saying like manga, that kind of thing. I actually read Abercrombie. Like I'll just rip
Yeah,
open some Abercrombie, and then I feel like I always get some sort of like nugget of knowledge, some kind
yeah.
of line to
Some
highlight or
kind of life
something,
lesson.
and it's pretty excellent. Joe Abercrombie is really just something special to me, and the fact that he has a authorial tone where you know that he wrote the sentence. And I said this in our video, that goes so far with me. It really
Yeah,
does.
yeah. Like you could give me like 3 blank books, and I could read a random part from each, and I would tell you which is Abercrombie.
Exactly. And I think
Did you
that's
just
really
hit
important.
2K?
I must have hit 2K. Did I hit 2K, folks?
Seriously? Oh my god, that's awesome.
Did I
Yes, you did.
I'm
That's
officially at 2 so I can quit my job now, right? That's how this
that's
works.
dude, the ad revenue. Once you hit 2K, it's like 2K a day of ad revenue. It's just how it
Yeah,
works.
the sub is $1. Listen. If I did this for money, I would be in a lot of trouble. Noel says the Song of Ice and Fire is comfort. I agree. I am so comfortable
Mm,
with a Song of Ice and Fire that I can jump in to Dunk and Egg specifically. That I'd say that and Abercrombie are like my 2 things that I go to whenever I'm in a slump or just want to turn on an
mm,
audiobook. I just
yeah.
I just do the damn thing. So
Yeah, and I find like when I read Mistborn Secret History recently, like or just like a shorter Sanderson novella, I'm just like, this is easy. I can just sit here and it just
yeah.
comes through so easily to me.
Now you did read Secret History and did a bit of a review. I actually watched it today again because the first time I watched it, it was a passive watch when I was at work. So I actually watched it fully. Can you tell me like, so is it just all related to Mistborn? Like, is that all it is?
There's literally like a background story happening in the original trilogy, and he's just showing you what happened
Yeah,
elsewhere.
I like that.
So it's like, hey, did you want to hear like all those weird things in Well of Ascension and like Hero of Ages that didn't really quite make sense? Here's why.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very
So it's really fun, but I could see why some people wouldn't like that because they're like, this is the trilogy. Why are you adding this?
right. And I don't know if it's like this, but have you read Fire and Blood? By
No, I
George.
haven't, but I know, yeah, I know what it
So it's like
is.
one of those books. Like I've never read it from cover to cover, but I've dropped in and done some research and just like fan theory stuff. But it's like one of those things like, oh, George released a new book and people get really pumped up, but then they realize what type of book it is. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's just not has the same name attached to it, but it's not a novel in that sense.
Yeah,
Is that
and
kind of how
like
Secret History is or no?
no, Secret History is like a novel. It's like
Okay.
a story. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Fair
it's
enough.
very hard to talk about, like because it's major spoiler territory. But it's like a story. Like what were these people doing at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Uh,
getting called out, dude.
Yeah, it has not. It's not recipe. I have not. The Sanderson books I've read is Emperor's Soul, which I think is amazing. Uh, Mistborn, Era One, and I've read Stormlight, Warbreaker, and all of the Stormlight novellas. I have not read Secret History yet. So, but I eventually will. So,
Yeah,
no.
and with Fire and Blood, did you know that was written like with George by like those 2 super fans?
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things, and so is the World of Ice and Fire, like
Yeah,
coffee table
yeah.
book. Yeah, and a lot of the
Yeah, I think
excerpts
it's
in
that
that.
one actually instead of Fire and Blood.
Well, Fire and Blood takes a lot from World of Ice and Fire as well.
Right.
So how interesting is it that, you know, being a super, could you imagine if Brandon reached out to you and was like, hey, Christian, I'd like to collaborate on, a history book for Stormlight. Like you would
I
lose
got
your
you.
mind.
I got you,
I
Sam.
got you, fam.
It's all up here.
Actually, why don't you tell everyone, because you told me this yesterday, and I thought it was awesome. What is your dream scenario?
All right, guys, let's make this happen. So, when inevitably the Cosmere is brought to the screen, how cool would it be if you or I, preferably me, if possible,
Preferably you,
could
for sure.
yes, could be on set, and I'm the guy holding the Way of Kings, and I'm just like, actually, Sky eels are meant to be a lighter shade. I want to be like the book guy, and I can just be like, or if not possible, I'll be the DVD extras guy.
Let's go.
The dream, the dream.
I see
That
you
would be
being
so
an
much fun.
extra. I see you being an extra, and you're just like, I'm just
Yeah,
happy to be here, man.
yeah. I'm like the post show podcast guy. He's like,
Ooh.
so how did you think of that scene with Kaladin?
Yeah. Seeing the pages come to life. I don't know why
Yeah.
you have to sound like that.
You have to do that. The adaptation we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, you're the actually guy. Yeah, actually,
Actually, Spren.
oh my god.
Yeah, like that would like I thought about that. I'm like, how cool would that be? But
Uh,
that's just like I'm just talking shit. You never know though. You
yeah,
never know.
you never know. And
You never
honestly, if
know.
you keep it up, I mean, I think everybody here that's watching or has at least looked at one video on your channel. I mean, I really do admire what you do over at Lost in Discovery because I don't make those type of videos. I try sometimes, but the quality that you put out is so impressive. Um, Definitely, top 3 as far as just content.
Oh,
I
thanks, man.
and
That's really kind.
if anyone here hasn't seen Christian stuff, you have to go check it out. I mean, Christian is an absolute pillar in the Stormlight community, in my opinion. Yeah, and you have support already in the chat. So
Thanks, guys.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
great.
And yeah, man, like all I do when I make my videos is I think like like I'm one of those awful people who's like, when you got YouTube on your phone, you like double tap to skip 10 seconds. Like I'm this awful person who's like, get to the point, like I'm bored.
Yeah.
And when I make my videos, I'm like, how can I keep people interested and present this in a way that's like engaging? Because like sometimes people have so much good knowledge to share, but it's like presented in a way where it's like a 20-minute intro. And I'm like, come on, like
So you've
what's,
seen my channel.
no, but like, okay, shots fired. No, but like, what I mean is like, in my specific realm of like the lore videos.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, I got a new lore video and I just made a new t-shirt. So go to my spring tee. I'm like, come
Yeah.
on. Yeah. It's just like, tell me about the Spren.
Yeah, it's like whenever you get like a little push alert for something, it's like find out how to get your stimulus check, and then you click and it's a blog post and they're trying to get SEO, so they explain the word stimulus to you. You're like, come on, just tell
yeah, it's
me how
like
to
get
get
to the
it.
point. And it's so bad because all of our attention spans have just been destroyed.
Absolutely. I watch everything at 1.5 or 2 times everything.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I
you
couldn't do
talk a
that.
lot slower in person.
Oh my god. How dare you?
I do it to everything. All my audiobooks are about 2 times, as long as the narrator's not too fast. Like
2 times is ambitious.
Yeah,
1.8 is as far as I've gone.
I find it keeps me more engaged. I don't know what it is, but for some reason it keeps me more engaged.
Because you have to actually like keep up, right? You can't let your mind drift.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, makes me hone in and I get into the zone. And once I'm in that zone, I can listen to an audiobook for like 8 hours.
Dang, that's impressive. Do you multitask while you're listening?
No. Well, so I guess that's not true because I do listen to audiobooks while I work out. But there are days, especially on like bigger compound lifts where I have to put in a lot of effort, that I'll have to rewind sometimes. And I'm one of those people that I can't miss it. I hate when I miss stuff. Like I hate it.
Same. That's why I can't generally multitask with an audiobook.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of time to be able to work out while I listen. And then there are some books that I just simply can't do that with. Dark Tower has been phenomenal whenever it comes to audio. So I've been really happy with that choice. I don't know. I think it's a skill. I think you got to build to it.
Yeah, I've definitely got better with it. I was very uncomfortable with audiobooks when I first started. And I didn't really know it was a thing. Like that sounds weird to say now, but I was like, you read a book. Why would you listen to it? Like I was just so different, right?
Have you ever listened to while you're reading?
Yeah, I did that the other day. I'm like, I'm the laziest person in the world.
I love it. I think it's like super immersive.
It is good. Like it is good, but sometimes I find my eyes start going further ahead because like they have to pause at some point, right? We don't really need to pause. But it's good because I'm like, wow, his reading voice is way better than mine in my head.
Your
Like Michael
internal
Kramer.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like I want my internal conscious to be Michael Kramer, basically.
Do
That's what
you
I'm saying.
have do you have a favorite audiobook?
Well, look, like I only listen to audio when I'm like pushing myself to finish a book faster, which
Yeah,
is
it
not good.
helps. Well, it helps.
But it's like when I get, fatigued from reading. It's like the most physically draining thing you can do.
Holding the
When I'm
book.
tired of that, I just like throw in the headphones and like do the
Yeah.
audio. So like I've only really started to do it with Wheel of Time. To be honest, I didn't do it with
Mhm.
Stormlight, but like because my dad does Stormlight on audiobook, I might like listen to a chapter with him.
Yeah.
Um, so all I really know is Michael Kramer and Kate Redding, who are great in my
Yeah.
opinion. But I know like the goat is whoever it is that does First Law because I've heard clips. I'm like,
Stephen
damn,
Pacey. Oh,
yeah, it is an experience, dude.
I think one of the best compliments I've ever heard to Stephen Pacey is actually Chris telling me that he couldn't listen to the audiobook because Glaucus sounded too gross. And I said, that's actually like, I'm sorry that happened, that you can't enjoy the audiobook, but that's actually like kind of a testament to how good he
Yeah.
realized, because Glaucus is a pretty gross, I shouldn't say gross,
He
but
enhanced that character so much for me because all I needed to do was hear a clip of him being Glockta, and then that was my voice for him as
the
I read
leg
it.
dragging just,
Oh my god, it's just so filled with saliva. That
yeah,
whole
the fact that we both know that, right, just shows you how good Abercrombie is at painting traits that matter. I think that's so
yes,
important. That's so
yeah.
important. That's something that Hobb does extraordinarily well as too. Um,
Do you
but
listen to First Law on 2 times speed?
so believe it or not, I've barely listened to First Law on audio. I listened to
Right.
some of it, but like I would say like 10% of my First Law reading has
Mm,
been on audio.
yeah.
There's something about Joe's writing that I love. Like I don't highlight often or anything, but sometimes I'll take like pictures and stuff. Like I loved seeing those words play out. Like I feel like he builds suspense through his sentences, and I there's something about physically reading his work that I really enjoy. So
Yeah.
even though the audiobooks are, I mean, some people think they're the best. I have preferred mainly to read those books for some
Mm.
reason.
Yeah, everyone like you associate audio or physical with just some series. Even though like the audio is so good with Joe, it's just like I wouldn't want to speed it up because it's just
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah, sometimes you
Um,
gotta savor it a little bit.
yeah, I would want to savor it. Like I could just close my eyes and I'm there and
Yeah.
I would appreciate that as an experience.
So
But
your dad's listening to Stormlight.
he is.
I think that is just incredible. Can you explain how? I'm assuming you pitched it to him.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, it
So
wasn't really a pitch, it was kind of like a force feed.
so how did that conversation go?
I basically like this was well, yeah, it was pre YouTube channel. Cause like this is what made me okay, I can't speak. I finished Oathbringer, right? I finished book 3. This was before Rhythm of War. I was so hyped. I was literally like kind of standing up and being like, "Oh my god," as I'm reading it. And they're like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, what are you reading?" And I'll talk about it so much, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah." Like they're kind of getting lost, and that's what
Yeah,
happens when you talk about epic fantasy. You explain too much, and everyone's just like they just glaze over.
that's a really good point.
They're just looking past you.
Yeah.
And then I started my channel, and I was like, "Oh, what would be like a funny video idea?" I'm like, "What if I got like Dad to read Stormlight?" And then when I pitched to him that way, I'm like, "Why don't you read it? And then we like see what you think." Um, and it kind of went like that. And I was like, I'll buy you it. Just read like the prologue because I think the whole Seth chapter sells for most people.
Yeah, I
And
think so.
and then that's how it went. And he really enjoyed it. Right? He was kind of overwhelmed. He was kind of like, this is a lot, but he latched onto Kaladin, and like that's what kept him going.
Yeah, I think Kaladin is one of those characters that it's a big hit. It's a big hit because a lot of people can relate, and it's not your typical uh, fantasy protagonist. I've gotten a lot of flack for saying that Kaladin is a chosen one trope. Uh, I kind of backed off that statement. I don't necessarily know if he's a chosen one per se.
Well,
But
we spoke about it. He's like a nuanced chosen one. It's like, what if the chosen one had depression kind
yeah,
of
and I
vibes?
also think that I think people, when they hear the word trope, they have a negative connotation to it. And
Right.
when I say something like, oh, it's a chosen one trope, it's not necessarily bad as long as it's not executed poorly, which Kaladin certainly is not executed poorly. And I think
Yeah.
you're correct. I mean, when we talked about it yesterday, I think you hit it on the head. I think he's a subvert of the chosen one trope that just so happens to also have ailments to where stepping up in those big moments is not as easy as being Superman, right?
Yeah, and like tropes hold everything together, man. Like you said, it's got a negative connotation, but like everything has tropes. Like to tell a story, you
Yeah.
are going to have a trope at some point.
Yeah.
It's not and they're there for a reason because like we're humans. Like we
Yeah.
relate to certain things. And what I loved is like in one of Sanderson's writing lectures, he actually said like the Way of Kings is the underdog sports team story, just
Hmm.
like plopped into fantasy, and it totally is with Bridge 4.
Wow. Yeah.
Like he's like it's like the underdog hockey team. It's like we're losing all our games, we got to build it up.
And
Like
I
how are
don't
we gonna
care
get
who
there?
you are. That works.
Everyone loves the underdog sports movie. Everyone loves
Everybody.
it. It's so good.
And if that tells you anything, that means that I think in book 5 we're gonna get some sad moments. For sure. I think
Oh yeah.
it's just the begin. I think the ending of the first arc in Stormlight is going to be very hard to swallow. That
I
that
think it's
it,
going to be devastating. I
I
think it's going to be awful.
yes, I agree. I think it might even piss some people off. I think that's the way he's going to go. I really do. I think it's going to be similar to the ending of Mistborn book 1 where the unthinkable happened.
Yeah, and book two, like even though you didn't enjoy it so much, like the whole we messed up vibe,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
dude,
will happen.
I love the end of Well of Ascension.
Right.
It's
Okay.
everything that came before it I didn't like,
Right.
which is just
Yeah.
my personal opinion. I know a lot of people in the chat love Well of Ascension. That's fine. I just, for me, that book lost me.
Yeah.
But the ending of Well of Ascension is phenomenal. I mean, Brandon Sanderson writes great endings. No
Yeah.
one
Oh
can
yeah.
do that.
He knows how to do it. To write an ending, but I
Yeah.
really think he needs to kill some people. You know what I mean?
He's got to, yeah, he's got
Some
to,
characters. I should probably say is a better way to phrase that.
yeah. I think 5 is going to be pretty monumental. I'm really looking forward to it. I kind of hope that we get back a little bit to the themes from book 1 and 2. I would
Yeah, I
like to
hope
see
so.
that because I'll be honest with you. So like, I really like the premise of book 1 and 2 with Stormlight, and as I've thought back to Oathbringer and Rhythm of War, you ever like love the concept of something, and then as it gets explained to you, like a little bit of the enjoyment goes out of it once you know the magic. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like he really gets into it.
Yeah, and it's not that it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying that like, my shiny eyes, like, oh my God, what is this? What are Spren? And then as I learn more and more about Spren, it's great. I'm glad he's explaining it, but it does take a little bit of my enjoyment from
Yeah,
it.
it's like if you
Just a
pull
bit.
back the curtain too much, like the air of mystery starts to get lost.
Yeah.
Um, it just seems like that's just the way he's going with it. Like I definitely see what you mean though, because
Yeah.
it's like you lose a bit of speculation, and then you get to the actually like vibes.
You're 100% right.
Yeah,
But so it's not so much I didn't like Oathbringer and Rhythm of War, but there is a little bit of like, oh, that's what that is. And we know it now. And maybe it could
yeah.
have been different. Maybe it would have been better, or maybe it would have been worse. I think Brandon's
Mm,
making good decisions generally. It's just one of those things where I'm a book 1 lover. Like, I am a sucker for a slow start and
yeah.
like a little bit of the peek behind the curtain, but we don't know. Like, I enjoy
Mm.
that a lot. And
Yeah,
it,
just like immerse me,
mhm.
just set me in this world, and
Yeah.
that's
When I read Way of Kings, I just kept thinking about it. Like, I just kept thinking about the world. And then Words of
I
Radiance.
felt like I had struck gold when I found that book. I'm like, this is like something massive. This is
Yeah.
gonna be something huge.
Yeah.
And and I felt like that even though like the show had come out, but reading Game of Thrones, the first book, I was just like
Oh,
so amazed by I'm like, this is so well realized.
dude. Yeah. People can say what they want about A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't care. Those books changed my life as far
Me
as
too.
what I enjoy in fantasy and what I enjoy in reading. And I can't imagine a better book one. I really can't. And I think Sanderson found his book one, like his gold mine on a book one with Way of Kings. I really did feel that way.
Yeah.
Um, this question, I want to kind of kick it over to you, Christian, put you on the spot.
Hmm.
It says, do you guys think the second arc of Stormlight is going to be far in the future, like Mistborn? I'm not sure. Is that something Brandon's talked about, Christian?
As far as I know, he said the only kind of quote I think he has said is like 30-year time jump.
Yeah.
So a lot can happen in 30 years, but
Yeah.
it's not like, isn't Mistborn like a 300-year
Yeah.
jump or
I think,
something crazy?
yeah, it's a pretty big jump. You know what I wonder though? And so someone said understanding can lead to more enjoyment though, which by the way is a totally valid thing. I'm just saying it,
Yeah.
me personally,
Yeah, no,
figuring
for
things
sure.
out. But thinking about figuring things out, if there is a time jump in Stormlight, and let's say it's 30 years, 50 years, do you think the technology changes? Because like we're just now seeing some technological advancements. I'll
Yes,
leave it
for
at that.
sure. For
But
sure.
are we gonna come back and have like, flying vehicles and stuff? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, we will.
that's
Yes, we will, because um I've been like, obviously I'm deep into like the Sando what's the word? Like
rabbit hole.
rabbit hole. That's the one. I'm deep into it right now because I'm just doing so much research. And he was saying like Mistborn is like um imagine like if we had magic in our human world and like, oh, like
Yeah,
this we can, like they have things we have and they just change it a bit with their whole metal thing.
yeah,
But Stormlight is going to be its whole magic and tech thing of its own, if its own lore and own world. And he is definitely propelling it into like, what technology advancements can we make with what we know about like surge binding? He's like
yeah,
literally created his own building blocks and will create science based off
yeah.
those building
He's
blocks.
kind of eclipsing a magic system and going into, like you said, his own science.
Yeah, it's straight up is doing that.
I
And
mean,
that is like the nerdiest thing you could ever do. It is like the nerdiest shit ever, but I kind of
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
It's
Why
like that's what
not?
he's doing. Let's like, and that's maybe it's been done before, but he has like thought this shit out. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's certainly impressive, and that the amount of ingenuity that comes out of his brain, I cannot even begin to fathom.
Yeah.
That as someone who thinks of stories all the time and thinks of like concepts to write about, I I can't imagine being that in like into your head. It's very
Oh,
impressive. It's very impressive.
yeah. And just like the fact that certain laws cross over between Mistborn and Stormlight, and just in terms of like
Yeah.
how physics, and it's overwhelming. And someone right now is probably studying it, you know?
Yeah. The crossovers don't feel cheap either, which I think is like really important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just throw in a reference here and there. It's like, oh, look at that. It's like almost
Mm.
almost fan servicey, where that does not feel like the case in the Cosmere.
No, he's like, you can tell this is just his like gonna be his life's work, like
Yeah.
his magnum opus or whatever
Yeah.
you call it. Like this is it.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a generational piece of fantasy that lives on forever. I mean, it's definitely going to be, probably this generation's big thing. I mean, it is. It's this generation's huge thing for sure, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah. You can't
Um,
really deny it.
I'm gonna pivot a little bit here.
Let's pivot, dude.
I just want
Where
to
are we
pivot
going?
because we're talking about theories and such,
Yeah.
and I want to know what
Mm.
is Christian's favorite A Song of Ice and Fire theory?
Varys is a mermaid. No. Okay. I mean, that's a fun theory. A Song of Ice and Fire theory. You know what? Like, okay, how do we do this without spoilers, man? This is tough.
Well, maybe light
Ha-
spoilers are fine. I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire, I feel like we're
Nobody
okay.
cares, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody
Hey,
care?
hey. I care. I care.
No, but like about like, oh, I feel like everything has been spoiled in A Song of Ice and Fire. But look, I'll keep this pretty vague. As
Okay.
vague as possible. Now I don't remember the details of it, but I remember really getting into this. But like the Great Northern Conspiracy. Do you remember this one? Where
Yes. Yes.
it's like all the northern houses have a huge it's kind of like the Ned Stark loyalist team
Yeah.
in a sense. Am I correct with that?
Yes, so it's the Grand Northern Conspiracy is essentially the idea of the Northern realms wanting to be in business for themselves and break away from the Mad King. I mean that's about as simple as I could put it.
Okay.
Um, so that all revolves around the tourney of Harrenhal, and I'm not going to say much more because actually we do have someone in the chest. I haven't seen or read any of it, and I never.
Okay.
Let me just say, if you haven't read A Song of Ice and Fire, ignore everything and just go read it because I mean it is a astounding piece in fantasy history. I mean it is so ridiculous. Chris Bookish Cole said, "God, oh God, I fell down a rabbit hole with the Great Northern." Yeah, there's actually different branches of that theory too, which is why it's kind of hard to explain. It can go two different ways, depending on who you believe was running it. Which is really interesting. We did have a question from Jim Bob Baker. Said, any recommendation for someone who has terrible ADD? To be honest with you, I think it's really important. And we're assuming you're talking about reading here. I stopped reading before bed whenever I wanted to start reading again, because when you read before bed, you tend to fall asleep, right? Or you get distracted by the TV or something. The best thing for ADD is, one, I think listening to an audiobook while reading is really good for that. And then two, I think reading first thing in the morning, if you can, is extremely good before you see any screens or anything getting into reading. What do you think, Christian?
I agree with you. Like, it's such a bad thing, but we all we wake up, we pick up our phones, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone. But if I wake up and I pick up a book, I'm like, it's just a way better start, and I can just focus. I find it way easier to focus.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a very short attention span, and I get distracted so easily. But I find if I do it's first thing in the morning, it's a much better experience.
I feel like my day goes better too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the whole day does go better.
Yeah. And then I also find that I will then in my head, if I get to a really good place in the book in the morning and I had to go do stuff, work or work out or whatever, I put in my head, I'm like, oh, I got to get back to that later. And then I get more into it,
Yeah. And then in the evening, you're less tired because you're ready to continue.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to throughout your day. And it's kind of like whenever you check Twitter in the morning and you see the drama going on and you're like, oh, can't wait to see how this turns out in 3 hours. It's kind of like that, but with the books, right?
Yeah.
Pivoting back to A Song of Ice and Fire, Noel asks, what is Jimmy Nuts, the booktube beefcake's favorite Song of Ice and Fire?
Booktube beefcake.
I'm pushing it.
Chatting with the beefcake should be what? It's glorious.
Just trying to get by,
this should be a paid podcast.
It should be
such glorious.
This should be on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So A Song of Ice and Fire Theory, my favorite one is actually there's two. I really enjoy the fact that people think Corn Halfhand is Arthur Dane, and I think that there's a lot of proof for that.
Oh yes, I remember that. Oh, this is so nostalgic.
I could go an hour about that because I truly believe that is the case. For multiple reasons. And then my other one is that Roose Bolton is a vampire. And I believe that because I have read George's Fever Dream novel with a vampire, and I found correlations between Roose Bolton being a vampire and the vampires that George wrote in his prior works. So I feel like really confident that Roose Bolton is a stand-in.
If Roose Bolton is a vampire, I just don't know how you do that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's not one of those things that's ever going to be confirmed. We'll never know it. But one thing that George does do, and I love this about George R.R. Martin, and I love this about Stephen King and Brandon Sanderson, they wear their literary influences on their sleeves. And I think that is just so awesome. And I know that not just George, but a lot of other people have been influenced by Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I think that was him paying homage to that. I think that really is what Roose Bolton is. It's not one of those, we're never going to get a confirmation.
Yeah. And maybe he just wanted to create some doubt. And for the people who know, they will know,
Yes. And I think it's if it works for you, it works for you kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. So forgive me.
Dude, go for it.
This is one of my problems. I don't talk a lot about A Song of Ice and Fire in content because there's a lot of it out there. But the one thing that I feel like the fandom has to accept, we have a lot of theories, right? Like we've been talking about like what's a good amount of time between books so you can theorize, because you don't want it to be like like sometimes when books come out every year, it's great, but you don't get that time, like with
you want it to marinate a little bit,
and it's been so long with A Song of Ice and Fire that there are people who have these crackpot theories, and they're fun, they're beautiful. However, I feel like a lot of people, let's say George finishes 2 books in the next 10 years and we get it all, whatever. Let's just pretend that's the case. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to be let down by the ending no matter what, because their things that they put time into to theorize about are not going to be addressed. And I
Yeah.
think that is, I understand that, but I think as fans of the series, you have to kind of accept the fact that you don't have to have every single answer. And I think that's where people get a little bit out of touch with, well, he has so many threads to tie up. And it's like, I don't need to know if Roos is a vampire. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, some things you just leave open.
Yes.
But some people just really like because there's years in between books, right? And you like get attached to your theory, and it's like it becomes canon in a sense in your head.
Head canon.
Head canon, yeah.
And we have to decide as a fandom right now. Jimmy Nuts is calling the banners. I'm telling you guys. When it comes to A Song of Ice and Fire, if you enjoy it and you love it and you want the books, we have to decide what is enough. What is enough to get by, and what are the questions that we know that George can answer and will answer. Like, those are very important things. Not every like, I don't really need to have confirmation that Dunk is possibly Brienne's great grandfather or whatever. Like, I don't need to know. I don't need to know if Old Nan bumped uglies with Sir Dunk. I don't need to know that. I love that theory.
That's an image.
But like, that has to be able to, like, I know people, I really do. I know people in the community that are like, if I don't get that answered, I'm going to be pissed. And I'm like, what?
I don't like that mentality.
Yeah, it's a really dangerous rabbit hole, and George has definitely perpetuated it by not releasing novels. So it's partly him to blame, but people also need to be realistic and understand that there is a main narrative that needs to be tied up that does have a lot of loose ends. So I just wanted to get, I don't know why, I just kind of wanted to go off.
No, that's no, that needs to be said, because like there's that dark side to the theory making where people get very like angry and super like they just write off an author they have loved and dedicated like so much of their time to if they don't do what they think they should.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Yeah,
you know,
I definitely have had days, you know, I watched your video and you said, you know, what's up with When's Winter, you know, what's George do, you know, I've had days where I feel like I'm like, you know, I'm just done. I'm done with that series. And it's generally tongue in cheek, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the books had moments, and people forget this because of the TV show, but we have to remember when those books were written, there were things that happened in then that series that literally changed the direction of the fantasy genre, for better or for worse, was changed by those books because they were that impactful.
Yeah, like not just fantasy, but like the entire television drama has been totally shifted because of Game of Thrones.
And so many people have tried to mirror what George has done and have failed. And people also get really bad takes on what he does. Oh, he just kills people off. And it's like, no, he doesn't. He's done it in such a, there's a reason why his works, right?
Yeah. There's a reason why it broke the entire planet when the Red Wedding happened, because it was truly traumatic, but it made sense. So nobody was complaining about a logical standpoint.
Yeah, we didn't have people making the right decisions all the time, and we saw them pay for it. And I think that is such a good, I mean, I love that. That if you give me a story that has real consequences, I will more than likely love it, even if it's about a baker making a cake. Like, I just want to see people pay for their decisions.
Yes.
Aaron Nichols says, have any of you read the Dance of Dragon short story? I'm not sure if it's a joke because the book's so damn long, or if there's actually a short story. If there is, let me know, because I don't know that.
Yeah, me neither.
Try to read in the morning.
It's probably tongue in cheek.
I want a spoiler cast. I mean, I will definitely do a Song of Ice and Fire spoiler thing. Booktube Beefcake is my wife. My favorite, I like this a lot. My favorite fan theory for A Song of Ice and Fire is the Gravedigger Theory. Like, it's such a simple theory that's so elegant, if true. And that's one we'll probably get the answer to, or at least we'll get circumstantial.
I think you have to get the answer to it.
Yes.
Assuming that character is integral to the plot.
I assume, maybe not. So, and that is a theory that I think there's a good amount of stock in. And I think the best theories are always those type, like Gravedigger. I think Arthur Dane being Corn Halfhand makes a lot of sense. You know, probably the most crackpot theory I have is that Rhaegar's still alive. I used to be a really big proponent of that theory, and now I'm not, because of evidence that I've seen through so many various YouTubers. People get super upset about ambiguous endings that aren't perfect. People hated Attack on Titan finale because for this even going as far as to compare it to the Lost or Game of Thrones.
Oh, this annoyed me so much,
It
right?
happened.
Like people were diehard fans of Attack on Titan, and then the last chapter came out last week, and just from key decisions in that last chapter, and mind you, a chapter of Attack on Titan is like maybe half an episode. It's
Yeah.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're like, series ruined. Worst ending since Game of Thrones. I'm like, dude, you're posting on a forum about this. Like you can't, like how can you take a leap that far?
Well,
You know?
you're like me, I believe. I think you feel the way I do, as in an ending doesn't necessarily ruin a story for you.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like it maybe used to when I was a bit younger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, but I wanted that to happen. But like, I'm not gonna like spend like 20 years plus of my life reading Stormlight, and then like something happens in the last chapter. I'm like, this series sucks. Come on.
Yeah, and I'm sure being emotional about it or something like that. And I'm not saying anybody that like if an ending ruins it for you like that, I understand that. I've just for some reason the way my brain works is I can separate it. I don't know why.
Me too. Yeah.
I know the show for Game of Thrones ruined it for a lot of people. I can separate the two things. I don't know why, but in my brain, I can just say, okay, this is this and this is this. And and even the show, I can appreciate the first 4 seasons. I think the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones is the best television ever.
Yeah, it is. Like I can separate the books from the show, but like my urge to rewatch has been basically killed from the ending of the show. So I guess I can't say like it didn't ruin what I enjoyed before, but I just have less for want to go back.
Yeah, and I think also with the waiting that comes with it. We won't go into a big Game of Thrones TV discussion because everyone's done it. Andy Smith says best ending in a fantasy novel or series for both of you. You go first.
No, that's what I was gonna say. You go. I'll go after you.
So Wrath by John Gwynne comes to mind because that series did such a great job of a crescendo, in my opinion, and every book got better. I think Ruin and Wrath were pretty damn close, and that's The Faithful and the Fallen Quartet by John Gwynne. I think one of the best pieces of modern fantasy, in my opinion. I love that series. I think that his new trilogy even wrapped up even better, to be honest. I think John Gwynne knows how to end a damn story. But with that said, I think the best ending to a book of all time is A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin, with a second place being, and I'm talking like razor thin, like 1A, 1B, The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan.
Seriously, you're throwing Wheel of Time up there.
Yeah, and all right, so I'm awesome. I got another one. I'm sorry.
It's the top 10 list.
Yeah, and you know what? This is probably right above The Great Hunt, and I think it's really close to A Storm of Swords. Royal Assassin by Robin Ha, book 2 in.
Wow.
Oh man. Let me think about those 3. I want to hear what you have to say, and I'm going to come back and pick a definitive answer.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go and actually agree with what Jimmy says, because I feel like the ending to A Storm of Swords, it's insane. It's ridiculous.
Dude, my heart.
That whole book is ridiculous, but the ending of A Storm of Swords ties up and sets up so many things in like the last, quarter.
Beautiful.
It's ridiculous, and it's just so tight. There is like not a wasted word.
Yeah.
In that last bit. Up there with it, I would say that I really just think because I'm like such a Stormlight fanboy, it gets annoyed. I get annoyed listening to myself. Like
I feel the same way about A Song of Ice and Fire, which is why I don't bring it up very often.
But I just feel like the endings of all those books are really good for all different reasons.
Yeah. Words of Radiance.
I feel like, say what you will about Sando and the Stormlight Archive, but like his finales are really satisfying in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why they call it the Sanderlanche, man.
Yeah. He really can wrap it up and also like set up intrigue for the next books. I would say if I have to break them, it's like Way of Kings is like a fist pump, like tear in your eye kind of one. Words of Radiance is like Similar vibes. It's kind of like just the Way of Kings, but like leveled up.
Yeah.
Oathbringer is just like batshit crazy action sequence. It's just fun. And I think Rhythm of War kind of takes all that. It's like emotional plus action all together.
Yeah.
So he does endings so well. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, I understand why you feel the way you do and when not wanting to mention it, because I can sit here and talk about how much I like George's writing in A Song of Ice and Fire. So I always feel like it almost feels cheap, picking
Yeah.
that. I think number one is A Storm of Swords. I think number two is Royal Assassin, and number three is The Great Hunt. I think that's where I'm at with endings. With a lot of really good books on the honorable mention. I'm really interested to see how Ship of Destiny wraps up tomorrow when I finish the last 100 pages, because
100 pages, baby.
dude, I mean, I got so angry I put down the book. And
Well, that's good, man. Well, let's see what comes through those last 100. Maybe it could change everything that you feel.
I'm really, really excited to see what happens. Jim Bob Baker says, what is the one book series that you would hate to see be made into a live action TV movie? So live action specifically.
Okay.
Hmm.
You know what? Part of me doesn't want any of the Cosmere to get adapted, even though like a huge part of me does. It just feels so great how it is. Like I feel a bit of that.
I think mine is actually Rage of Dragons.
Really?
Yeah, I think that is so good for an anime or animated series. I would hate to see it in live action because I just don't feel like they would be able to do justice to some of the battle scenes.
Just because of the scale of the battle scenes?
Yeah,
Or
and just like the supernatural and the dual wheel. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that yes. Let's just say I think some of the stuff that comes in Rage of Dragons and Fires of Vengeance would come across possibly cheesy. If the
right.
budget wasn't huge. And it's not because it's like, like a huge battle like Helm's Deep or something. It's just the nature and
It's like outlandish. It could look like a B movie.
it could end up looking really bad. So
Right.
I would love to see Rage of Dragons Fires of Vengeance adapted. The whole series of The Burning, I would love to see it done in an animated sense, but live action, I could pass. And my second would be Stormlight. I worry about some of the long anime type monologues in the sky and stuff.
I feel like they would just adapt it to work in that medium. I feel like it has to be live action, in my opinion.
Has to be Disney.
No, don't say this. Like it needs the budget of Disney, but it can't be Disneyified. But look, this just shows how little I've read, to be honest. Because I feel like First Law would be perfect for like
God,
live action. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what would better be suited for animation, I tend to lean towards like things should. I'm like not an animation snob or anything, but I would usually prefer things I like to be live action.
I actually agree with you. One series that is being adapted to supposedly a live TV show, it could still be animated, is Dunk and Egg, Georgia short stories from the Seven Kingdoms. And I feel like those would have been better as an animated series because they're a lot more lighthearted.
Yeah, I think that one you could do animated and it would be just fine.
And you can make Dunk like really tall. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you could exaggerate it.
There's only so many people who can play Dunk. So,
and it's just another unfinished series by George that that is just going to get overtaken again.
You're right. Yeah, you're 100% right. The characters would need to be super on point if they did First Light. You're right. I don't even know who would play Glotka. I have no idea.
That is like the hardest casting job ever. Like not hardest, but like the most pressure on your shoulders because the characters are so iconic, right?
I feel like a lot of different people could play Logan Nine Fingers.
Yeah.
Who would you pick? Think about it for a second.
Man, Logan Nine Fingers, like there's so many ways you could go about it.
Yeah. Part of me says Sean Bean. I don't know why.
I could see that, like a gritty Sean Bean.
Yeah, like a little different.
I could roll with that, man. But like for me, like Sean Bean's kind of getting a bit old for that role.
61 today. Happy birthday, Sean Bean.
Seriously?
Yeah, Boromir Ned is 61 years old today.
Yeah, well, he can't be Logan. He can't. He's too old.
Maybe like Gerard Butler.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Hugh Jackman, if he was a little bit bigger, I think, like huskier, I think he would be
Actually, Hugh
okay.
Jackman really works in my mind, actually, like with the hair and like the Wolverine body kind of
Yeah.
energy. Yeah, that could work.
He'd need to put on a little bit of size, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you need like the body of who's the guy who played like Khal Drogo? Like that
Jason
energy.
Momoa.
Yeah, you
I
need
see
that
him
Jason
being
Momoa
I
vibe.
see him being the Black Dow. That's what I see Jason Momoa being for some reason.
Black Dow for me is like the little guy syndrome.
You
Like he's
think?
kind of like the little guy that can mess you up. Yeah,
I always
that's how I
thought
picture
I
him.
always imagined him being like really tall and frail
Oh,
for some reason.
seriously?
Yeah.
I imagine like the little guy's like, "Come on, fight me." That kind of energy.
It really threw people off of Sean Bean was nine figures. If you know, then you know. There is no one ugly enough to play Logan. Damn.
I would love to see like a very clean kind of actor get messed up to go into first law, like, and
Yeah.
just get gritty,
It's
you
kind of like
know?
whenever Christian Bale, like, starved himself with The Machinist. It
Yeah.
was like seeing, like, handsome Christian Bale, like, on death's door.
Yeah.
There's something about that.
Oh man,
It
I
really
could
brings
see.
the role to life, you know?
Yeah. Somebody suggested once, I'm not sure of the actor's name, but the guy who plays Loki in the Marvel MCU to
I
be Glokta, and
Okay,
I
let me
could see
see.
that. Like, I could see him getting all freaky.
Let me look this up. Oh my god, yes. Who is this guy?
I forgot his name, but like give him a buzz cut and a lisp. I can roll with it.
Oh my yeah, no, that's not. I don't know what this gentleman's name is, but oh my goodness. That's Glotka. That's it.
Yeah.
You know who
Yeah.
Dude, you know who could play Glotka? Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
Dude, a bald Steve Buscemi?
Ooh,
Creepy.
chills. Like it's bad that he's kind of like typecast as like the weird looking guy, but it would kind of work.
Rory
It would kind of.
McCann as Logan. I don't know who Rory. I'm so bad at people's names.
Yeah, I feel bad for not knowing.
Oh,
Um,
that's the Hound. I'm in.
oh,
I'm
for
in.
Elijah Wood as Glokta, that would be
Oh,
insane. Actually, I could actually see
dude.
that. He's got like the freaky eyes and like the smile. He
You
could do
shave his
it.
head, peel
Yeah.
back those gums a bit, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
That, but it's so fun, right? Because it would be such a cool, like for whoever it is, especially if they're known, it would be like everyone would be like, look at how they play this character. It's kind of like when
Yeah.
Phoenix did Joker. Everyone's
Yeah.
there for it, you know.
Yeah, I think we'd have a lot of trouble with first law adaptation because of all the internal dialogue, especially when it comes to Glotka. I think that could be very hard to relay on screen.
It could be an interesting way to just shoot it very differently. Like maybe you could do
Yeah.
internal and just have a whole new, like different vibe to the show.
I would love that to get away from just the standard, hey, this is a medieval set. Yeah, yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. Kane is ugly, maybe ugly and big enough. Yeah, Kane would be a pretty good Logan, actually. That's funny.
It's like when you say, sorry to interrupt,
No, you're good.
but when you mention Christian Bale, it's like, you know, in American Psycho, how it's like his voiceover constantly of his thoughts. Like you could do
Yeah.
that for Glokta.
Dude, that would actually be really cool. And I've seen some shows do that, like some Netflix shows that my wife watches that are terrible. It's like,
Shots
yeah,
fired.
she's watching. She'll probably unfluff my pillow or something. But yeah, I could, maybe that you have a good point. Maybe it's just a different way to approach it, and then to really differentiate it from all the other things coming out.
Yeah.
Speaking of things coming out,
Ooh.
how excited are you for the Wheel of Time show?
I'm actually extremely excited for it
Me too.
because I feel like it will take all my gripes with it and smooth them out silky smooth. I'm hoping
Yes.
anyway.
I feel
I'm
like we could get a
hoping
lot
so.
of more modern tones that could really put the series in a better light for a lot of people.
You get just yikes in the chat. Yeah, like I feel like it's you got to tread carefully with Wheel of Time, right? Because it's such a dedicated fandom. But they're pretty good at being like, yeah, it's flawed. I just feel like it could be not, I don't want to say streamlined, but I just feel like an adaptation could work really well.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how they approach it. Like I just really want to see how they do it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know that there's a big challenge ahead of it, but man, I think if this works, if this goes big, and I don't, it doesn't have to be Lord of the Rings, doesn't have to be game. If it just works, it is going to open the door, because if you can adapt the Wheel of Time, you can adapt anything.
Right.
Right? We're
Yeah.
talking about millions of words, 14 book series that people said was impossible. If Rafe Judkins and crew get this done, this is going to kick the proverbial door wide open.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think, even if you're not a fan of Wheel of Time, like we've said many times before, a fantasy show succeeding, whatever it is great news for all of us, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think any fantasy show doing well is good news for us. And Amazon's done a great job of adapting some materials. They did Man in the High Castle. The Expanse show is phenomenal. They are doing Invincible right now, which is a beloved comic series that is supposedly really good. I haven't watched it, but I actually might. I think Amazon's doing a lot of the right things, and I do know that Bezos has a pretty big hand in what they pick to adapt. So I'm hoping, like, he personally picked The Expanse.
Right.
Like
Does
he
he
was.
read Wheel of Time as well?
I don't
Oh,
know, but if he does, I think that's like a better case for it not getting canceled, right? Which is
yeah,
good,
yeah.
because they're going to need 7, 8 seasons to get through the content. So it'll be interesting to see. And TW Raven has said, you enjoy the podcast, heading out. Well, have a good night, and thanks for being here. I
Awesome, guys.
appreciate
And
it.
if you want more cosmic content, TW Raven is one of the people who is growing very quickly for that style of content on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure to check that out and hit subscribe if you would. Paul Smith says, does Brandon Sanders have any involvement in the Wheel of Time TV series?
He does, right? I think he does.
I believe he's at least been consulted, because I remember him on a live stream or something basically saying that, hey guys, there's going to be some cuts. There's going to be some things that are missing. Yeah, actually, Rid has it. You're up on the screen. I think Brandon has read the scripts. That's what I think. I believe he knows kind of where the adaptation's going as far as it exists today. And he basically said that there obviously are going to be some things cut. There's going to be some things changed for TV. But he seemed, when I remember seeing it, he seemed pretty positive, I thought. But he was trying to level those expectations, be like, listen, there's not going to be 13 in stops.
Fantastic.
So if he's not actively writing it, I think, I know Sanderson has a lot of interest in screenwriting, screenplay writing, or whatever.
He's spoken about it a lot, and he's very in favor of like altering things to suit the screen.
It's really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about like adapting Mistborn, and he was saying like to get people right into it, he would have Vin and Kelsey like straight up on a mission immediately, and as they're doing it, he's like teaching her the magic to like, because that works better in a live action sense. And that just gets me excited, because I'm all for changes if it serves the story,
Yeah, definitely. This isn't a popular opinion, but there were some things that when D&D adapted in the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones that they changed that was really good. For instance, Tywin Lannister being the person that Arya was a cupbearer to, rather than Roose Bolton. That was
Agreed.
a tremendous change.
Agreed.
They added in a conversation between Robert Baratheon and Cersei in season 1 that is one of the best on-screen conversations.
About their marriage.
Yes, phenomenal.
I loved that. Yeah,
I could watch that scene right now.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
And that just enhances the books, actually, and that's what can also be done with the show. They actually add in a way that like authors like, yeah, that's cool, and it adds to the whole world. It's like all good.
Yeah, so I think changes are good. I love the fact that Brandon Sanderson's in that mindset, and the more he works with the Wheel of Time TV show, in my opinion, the better.
Yeah, and they'll be like, oh, Sanderson's got all these books. Wonder what we can do with those.
Yeah,
yay!
Wouldn't that be sweet?
I just feel like the hardest thing for Stormlight is the interludes. Like, what the hell do you do with those for TV?
The pacing of the story and the flashbacks and stuff, it would all be very different. I think it'd be extraordinarily different. They might even make the penultimate episode all about the interlude. Kind of like a lot of TV shows, they do this. The episode before the last one, they always like do like a complete flashback episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you could imagine like a Way of Kings, with Seth and like the opening prologue.
Oh my god.
That would be
I'm gonna be like the I'm gonna be inconsolable if I ever like see some of these things come to screen. I've never been there where I've like read something and then saw it
Yeah.
happen. Besides when I like rushed ahead with Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
but like to be there with nothing available, I've never been there, so I'm
Yeah,
excited.
that's one of the so I started reading Wheel of Time before I knew that there was a television show coming, but it made me want to read it only more when I found out
Yeah.
that it was going to be, realized on screen. Because I think there's like something really special about that. I will say, so I plan on finishing book 5 this month of Wheel of Time. Part of me doesn't want to finish the series before it comes out because I want to get excited. Like whenever the season ends,
Mm.
I'm fired up, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
cool to know that like I have more to do. Like I have more to do in the world other than just rereading it. Considering the fact that I want to get through a ton of books, right?
Right, yeah.
Do you plan on finishing Wheel of Time before the show comes out? Is that a goal?
Impossible. Like it's just not.
Yeah.
I can't read that many books, and I can't commit to a series like that hard.
Yeah.
So no, but I plan to. Well, I don't really know when it's coming out, but I plan to be like a decent chunk into it, like 4 books maybe by the time it's out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was at before I took a break from the series. Now I kind of want to get a little bit further, just because I missed the world, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I'm excited to see what the trailer looks like. And yeah,
I love what Rhythm has said there. I'll be feral.
Yeah, number one Wheel of Time Twitter goes to Rid without a doubt, honestly.
Yeah, she's awesome.
And right here, Headcan says, when is the show supposed to come out? I won't be able to finish it in any case, but I'm curious. So there's rumors for this fall. I've also heard people say early next year. I'll be honest, I think it'd be very advantageous for this show to come out in the fall. There are a lot of big releases coming in the early of 2022. And I'm not saying that it isn't as good or whatever. You just don't want to compete with existing IP, in my opinion. And yeah, November is what I've been hearing as a rumor. But again, where it's all hearsay, I would like to see a trailer because supposedly they have the first 6 episodes filmed. We talked about this yesterday, Christian, when we were chatting, and we said maybe there's a very specific scene in 7 and 8 episode where they really want to show that off, right? Like they have
In the trailer, yeah. Do we know if the first season is just the Eye of the World, or are they doing some of the Great Hunt too?
Based on casting and pace, I believe they have to do some of the Great Hunt. Now, whether or not the end of the Great Hunt would be in the man. I can't spoil for you.
It feels like too much already where I'm up to in the Great Hunt to be any further than where I am right now in one season.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to do that, and I wonder what the sacrifice, where the sacrifices are going to come, because I believe they said 2 books a season is the pace, I believe. So like 7-8 seasons, right?
I just can't imagine the Eye of the World climax being like a mid-season thing in season 1. It just seems so fast.
I think you're also going to see stuff from Newspring, which is the prequel novel. So
they're going to sprinkle that in, are they?
Yeah, maybe season 1 is Eye of the World with Newspring. I don't know. It would be disingenuous of me to act like I know. I think based on the casting, it seems like we're going to get a little bit more than just Eye of the World. Now, whether that's into book 2 or the finish of book, I don't think it could be the finish of book 2, but Chris Book shows that Dark Friends and Eye of the World. I think
beautiful.
If there's ever been a series where there is stuff to be cut, I think this is the series to do that.
You can trim so much fat.
Yes, which is fine, right? And you have to. So
yeah. Yeah, you can condense it. Not to say it was unnecessary, but it just can be streamlined.
RJ started spilling the ink, and he said, "I'm not stopping."
And all the respect to him. Like hell yeah, like do your thing. But
yeah. I mean, I thought the crescendo, the climax of Eye of the World was better than some trilogies. I really did. I really
it was really good. It. Yeah, it was, and it got me hyped. I'm like, let's go, book 2 straight away. And that's what you want.
Yes, and that is the thing with Robert Jordan's writing is like you finish you'll kind of be in like a little bit of a slog. At least I felt that way sometimes, and then the ending just blows your socks off, and you're like, I gotta rifle through the next book, and you open it, and you're like, God damn it, I'm back in that slow.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, 100-page prologue.
It's how to just hook you right at the end, just pull you in.
Yeah, say what you will, but I've heard everyone say like he knows how to write a damn ending.
Yeah, I think
So
that's probably one of the things Sanderson pulled from him the most, in my opinion.
yeah, the Sanderlanche is inspired
Did you know
by
that
RJ.
Sanderson, he was inspired by RJ, and did you know he was also inspired by Isaac Asimov's universe? That's where he got the Cosmere inspiration.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can see that.
yeah, because Asimov's universes are connected between iRobot and the Foundation,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I've heard that.
yeah, and it's something that inspired him. It was like he said the first time he saw, he's like, "Oh, these things could like interplay," and he said that was a big reason why the Cosmere's connected. So
Yeah, like the only like I knew like Stephen King's, they're connected, right? In some way?
yeah, so I'm reading Dark Tower. Actually, I'm glad you asked this because someone way back in the chat, 2 hours ago, asked. They said, "Could you guys recommend a weird story or weird fantasy series with magic or something?"
Mm.
There might not be a series more weird than the Dark Tower. Oh my god! I'm thinking about. I'm definitely reviewing the books as I read them, but I'm thinking about doing a why I decided to read and like why it's blowing my mind so far.
Yeah,
It's like an urban portal fantasy, but
Portal fantasy.
it is.
Elaborate, please.
There are more worlds than these, Christian. That's
Oh,
all I'll say. There are more
mm,
worlds than these.
very exciting.
The gunslinger followed the man in the black. Oh my god.
I feel like somebody somewhere got chills from that.
I think everyone that reviews the gunslinger starts out with the voice. Like even if they don't do voiceovers on their book reviews, they always start out with that because it's such a great opening line to a book. And
I love iconic opening lines. Sorry to interrupt, but
there's very few that come to mind more so than the gunslinger. But I really think like the Dark Tower is such an excellent weird series. But the reason I brought it up is because you brought up it being interconnected, and I had a lot of people say you got to read like 80 books before you read Dark Tower. Now that I'm reading it, and I've seen some of the tie-ins from the books I've read from Stephen King, I've not read all of the tie-ins. I'll be honest with you, I think it's a little bit of huff flub. Like I don't think that is necessary. I could see someone who didn't read any of the other, that didn't read any of the other books that Stephen King recommends for Dark Tower and still getting a great story and a great time out of the stand. It's more fan servicey. Now there are stuff that actually like legit ties in, but he explains it. Like he doesn't leave you high and dry. Like kind of like Sanderson kind of does, right? Like
yeah,
Sanderson makes you feel at home. So
I feel like whatever reading order or experience you had, you're like, you have to do it that way. It's just natural because you're like,
yeah.
I love how this played into that, and I want you to experience it that way. But really, like, it matters to some extent. Like, you can't go to book 5 in Wheel of Time and just be like, I really liked going there first. Like,
Yeah.
there's a problem with that. But when it's connections to other series, it's kind of like, they stand on their own usually.
Yeah, I had a lot of people in my Way of Kings reviews, my number one review. And I've had probably at this point like 10, 20 people be like, "Hey, you said you had to read the other works. That's not true." And I'm like, I know, but the preconceived notion is that you should, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there is that.
I think Warbreaker's short enough to why it's like a why not type of thing. But yeah, I feel like the Dark Tower tie-ins are much more loose because Stephen King will literally just explain to you an entire book's plot that it's coming from.
Right. He would just catch you up.
Yeah.
So he knows that you can't expect everyone to read like 20 books before the next one, Yeah,
and that's where I'm at. So after book 4 in Dark Tower, people recommend to read like 4 books. 2 of them are humongous, like 1,000-page books. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing it. I said, I'm going. And then I actually heard some people say it's better to read after. I said, I'm just reading through Dark Tower. I am so in love with this little fellowship that he's built that is bizarre. Okay. Like bizarre. But it just works, man. I really love Dark Tower. And I know I've been going on and on and on about Realm of the Elderlings, but like Dark Tower for me is like right there. It's just
and they did adapt it, right? Didn't they do a movie?
Let's not talk about
but it's really bad, right? Is that with Matthew McConaughey?
If you did this series, I have never seen the movie because I didn't want any spoilers. But you couldn't do this in a movie. There's no way. It would have to be a television show. Have to be. There's just no way to do it in a movie.
I feel like Stephen King has just had very mixed adaptations, right?
Well, a lot of his novels are mixed too. I mean, it's either really good or really bad. The one thing
Yeah.
I dislike is a lot of people don't love his endings. And it's like a meme because like he's had so many bad endings, but he's had a lot of good endings too. Like
Hmm.
Pet Cemetery and Salem's Lot has a phenomenal ending in my opinion. And then he has some stinkers too, but he does have a lot of good endings. So I think it's one of those things that just becomes like a meme on the internet and people just kind of reiterate it over and over and over.
Yeah.
I've never read The Dark Tower, but I know the line is Christian, would you read this? Can you give us a dramatic reading?
Okay. The man in the wait, I can't fucking read. Wait, I've got this. I got this. The man in the I can't read. You put me on the spot. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed.
Let's go.
Beautiful.
Christian, I think your future as a narrator, you're not going to be a one taker, but
No,
the voice
we'll
works.
need some edits.
The voice works.
I'm turning down offers as we speak.
Oh, I love it.
That's a great opening line.
It's so good, man. Yeah, so we have Sarchiri, if that's how you say it. Gaming says, I've never read Dark Tower myself. I just started Assassin's Apprentice, though. I envy you. I wish I could read it again for
Beautiful.
the first time. It's phenomenal. I'm a huge proponent of the idea that a series should make sense in its publication order. Every time I hear that I have to read like 5 side books to something to understand, no. And that's kind
Fully
of
agree, man.
yeah, especially
Fully
when that
agree.
series is amazing, right? And then you have to go read like maybe not as good works. Like some of Stephen King's tie-in novels aren't as good as the Dark Tower novels. And I'm just like, I'm in it. I'll read through it. And if I need to read them after to understand something, I will. And there's enough resources out. We have the internet. Like we can, like I'm doing a Tor read along as I read Dark Tower when I don't quite understand something.
Mhm.
And it's fine. Like it's totally fine. So I'm with you, Chris. I don't
Yeah.
love the idea of reading like 1,000 other things just to make it work. So
And I'm so bad at like controlling myself. Like I finished Words of Radiance and everyone's like, read Warbreaker. But I'm like, but I want to be with Kaladin.
dude, that's how I feel about Fitz in the Farseer trilogy. Cause like
Right.
the way Robin Hobb does her things, each trilogy bounces back and forth. Right.
Right.
And I'm like, I got to read 2,700 pages without my boy Fitz. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And even though I think Live Ships might be the best cast of characters of all time, it is still a little bit of a downer that I've had to wait so long to see Fitz again. But I'll be seeing Fitz maybe next week. So I'm so excited.
They always do that. They get you so attached to a character and then they just pull them away. They just pull them away.
Dark Tower books are 1,000 times better than the movie. I've heard that, and I'm only in book 4, and I feel like it would be hard for an adaptation to do the book justice just because of how weird it is.
Adaptations are hard, man.
Yeah, especially.
And the more I get into reading, the less I necessarily crave them because I'm very satisfied.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Because it's just like I'm getting enough, and like maybe the whole world doesn't need to know this particular story in that format. Maybe we just have our thing going here.
Yeah, what's weird is the Song of Ice and Fire. It was really easy to get through because you think of the characters from like the books, or I'm sorry, from the show. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still some that I vision as the show actors, but like Bran in my head looks totally different.
Bran's so much younger in my head because he's actually a child. He's like season 1 Bran forever in the books.
Yeah, and this is crazy because I think Peter Dinklage might have been the biggest standout of the whole show. But I don't think of Peter Dinklage when I read Tyrion in the books.
Neither, because he's so like he's like just more Glockta vibes.
Yeah, he has a scar. He's also shorter than Peter Dinklage. It's just like George did such a great job of crafting the character. Now, I think Peter Dinklage nailed Tyrion. Yes.
Yeah, he embodied the character well, but the look wasn't like he's too handsome, know?
Yes. And Euron is a good example. Like, I don't know.
Oh, don't get me started on Euron.
That backwoods Bam Margera piece of shit.
That is the best description I've heard.
But I guess that's the thing, right? Is like, I'm so glad you said that. I don't think everything needs to be adapted.
No.
Now, does that mean I'm not going to get super excited when something gets adapted? Of course not. I'm going to cheer for it. I'm going to just want it. But there's so many things, whether it be whitewashing characters, Um,
Tyrion
going,
again.
actually, I'll say it. The new Stan show would have been way better if they would have casted more ugly people. The Stan show, everyone is supposed to be in this post-apocalyptic town, barely surviving, and they're wearing Gucci shit. And I'm like, that's not how this works. There's dead bodies rotting everywhere from a disease, and you're telling me that you got your penny loafers on? Like, come on.
That's the thing. Like everyone's hot on TV. Like that's the whole thing. You have to be attractive, and and George said it. He's like, everyone's too attractive in the TV show.
Yeah.
They play the characters well, but everyone's too attractive. Like Horseface Arya, like that's how she's called all the time.
Yeah, and Brienne's supposed to be, relatively not
Yeah,
attractive, and it's like they're afraid to lean into that stuff, unless if it's like the bane of the character, right?
yeah. Unless it's like the Hound with like half his face burnt off,
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
But he's still handsome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's actually a pretty good looking cat. Yeah. Backwoods Bam is such a good description.
It is, dude. That is so perfect.
I said that in my very first
kind
ever.
It's kind of obscure, but like if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
If you're playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you know.
You know, for sure.
And
or if you watch Viva La Bam or anything else.
Yeah.
I think I actually, another thing that comes to mind. Did you watch The Witcher show?
Yeah, of course I did.
So Yennefer is supposed to be like this hunch. I actually thought they did a really good job with her transformation, but even then, even when she was supposed to be like this gremlin looking thing, she's still gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, some people you just can't because they're just naturally, attractive or beautiful. But I didn't even know. Like, I was like a Witcher. Like, I just played The Witcher 3. Like, that was my Witcher experience. So I didn't even know that Yennefer had this like messed up thing. So I was just impressed that there was that backstory to her. But Yennefer was a bit hit or miss in the show. I feel. Yeah, I liked her a lot, but there was like when she was kind of possessed, and they had to like that whole sequence was a bit like, what is going on?
Yeah, I agree. Witcher did a lot of things good, and it did a lot of things bad. I would say it was overall positive. I think it was a hit.
Agreed. It's like a solid 7.5 or 7 out of 10.
You could feel that they rushed it a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, things I don't care about, I heard people saying, oh, the CGI, like reviewers, they're like, oh, the CGI just wasn't up to snuff. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't do special effects. What I care about, costumes, overall presence and the atmosphere of the shot. And then it comes down to the acting and the writing. And I thought all those things were serviceable enough that it had a feeling to the show. It didn't feel like another generic fantasy show.
It definitely had its vibe.
Yes.
But I feel like it peaked on episode, I think it was episode 1, where that one take of like Geralt just like
the Butcher of Blaviken. Is that how you say it? Yeah.
Yeah. That scene was so good. And it never quite gave me that ever again. That one take of him just killing bitches is beautiful.
I mean, that is one of my favorite combat scenes, I think, in all of television.
So good.
I've only seen one episode of Witcher, but I loved it. Yeah, Witcher. I thought Witcher was overall positive. They did flub some things like the time jump and stuff. They should have made it a lot more congruent and a lot more obvious. I think. I
enjoyed it. Like once I caught on to it, I thought it was a cool way to tell the story.
Yeah. They could have just added text in iMovie that said 10 years earlier, or whatever it was.
They could have done that, but I think they wanted it to be a bit of a shock when the things aligned.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually agree with you, and I'll be honest. I think I'm a little bit guilty, and this is weird because in my books, I don't like to be spoon-fed. I really don't like it. There's some times where an author, I feel like they're almost insulting my intelligence by giving me reminders constantly.
Yeah.
And this is weird, but in TV shows, I tend to like to be spoon-fed.
Really?
Yeah, I really
still
do.
Dislike it there. I don't want to
I like when it's done. Like after I get over it and I figure out what's going on, I like it. Like I did like when it came together.
Right.
But it's weird. It's like when I watch TV shows and stuff, I generally am very passive. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies. I read. That's what I do. Right.
Yeah.
But it is weird that I have two different preferences for different mediums.
For me, like I was big into like TV dramas but what I would do is I'd go on Reddit straight away And usually there's some top comment being like, "Oh, the timeline's actually different," and then I'm cool. Someone told me, so I guess
Yeah.
I am being spoon fed, but I feel superior because the show didn't tell me. Like I knew it.
Yes. That nerd superiority. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
actually.
Actually, the timelines for the first season.
These are the short stories. This is not the main series yet.
So
Yeah.
these are technically not a novel. Every time I do that voice, 10 people unsubscribe, I think.
But it's so fun to do, though.
It is.
I love it.
Everybody hates the actually guy until they're the actually guy.
Yeah. And yeah, you either hate him or live long
yourself.
enough to become him.
I think I've hit that point in my my Song of Ice and Fire fandom. I've become the actually guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, my whole channel is based on like being the actually guy. Like that's the whole channel. I can't complain about it. What really happened?
Oh man, I think
people are loving it.
Yeah,
we gotta embrace it.
The tagline for our eventual consecutive podcast that we're going to do together is going to be, well, actually, and if you know, you know.
What happened in the first episode? Exposed.
Geralt exposed. Oh my god. I'd do it. If you want to make it, I'm in.
Oh, dude, I'm always keen.
Always down. Yeah, I think The Witcher's good. And when I think of The Witcher, that's like where I would like to, like, even if Wheel of Time, like, let's say Wheel of Time doesn't become like a household name, right? But if it has the success that Witcher had, which it's one of the top stream shows ever on Netflix, that'd be a huge win because the Wheel of Time grows, right? So I feel like they have an opportunity if they can just hit their fan base, please them, and then get a couple people on the outside, like general viewers, they could grow and grow and grow and grow. And I think their budget's huge, but their budget's nothing compared to Lord of the Rings show. And I think it's good because they can grow into a bigger budget. So
I agree. And I just feel like compared to The Witcher, The Wheel of Time has a much more like a story that will appeal to masses way more.
Yes.
Like The Witcher is a bit of a quirky
it's like
outlier, you know.
It's like Hercules or Xena Warrior Princess. I mean, I'm being a little bit like ridiculous when I say that, but it is that type of thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like not the traditional narrative.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's great.
Yeah, it's good for that. But I'm just saying, Wheel of Time is like the journey with the gang. It's like, I want to be Egwene. I want to be like Rand. You know, you can just see it.
Picking your Ajas, you know.
I'm Blue Aja. All the things you need to be, you know, a Game of Thrones.
The recipe's there.
It's all there.
And I think
it's got to do it right.
I think it could be huge. I really do.
It could be.
I hope to God. Did you see the Lord of the Rings television show? Season 1 cost $457 million.
What are they doing? Like, isn't that the entire budget of the trilogy already?
I think they literally built Middle Earth. I think they bought the Netherlands. I think they're gone. And
they just relocated New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand is gone. They bought New Zealand. Sauron's real.
Sauron. They literally genetically created everything.
What if it's like Jurassic Park?
Yeah, you can actually go there.
But I mean, we're talking
about. Is it the story redone in a TV show format?
No. So this is actually interesting. It's the Second Age. So
that's pre, right?
Yes, and go check out History of Ages or The Men of the West and look up the Second Age, and they have like about a 20-minute amazingly edited video that's super engaging. The Second Age story for Lord of the Rings is sick. It is sick.
Is it on par?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh really?
100%.
And where was this covered in the Silmarillion?
Yeah, you can Silmarillion, and it might be in the appendices of Return of the King, but I'm not positive about that.
Okay.
And I think the notes of Tolkien also have some stuff from the Second Age. But we're talking about a television show, Christian.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
2 years. That's $1 billion.
That's ridiculous. Like, what are they doing?
I mean, where
it's
are
the CG, right? It's got to be CG.
Oh, it has to be the CGI. I think they're going all out. I mean,
it's like a VR TV show or something.
It should be great, but I would feel more nervous if the Wheel of Time had a $457 million budget, because I mean, if it does less than stellar, they're canceling it. There's no way that you float that bill again. You know what I'm
Maybe,
saying?
but like the Wheel of Time is such a reliable IP in terms of
Well,
like the books did it, you know, they
yeah,
know that.
I guess what I'm saying is like I kind of am glad that Wheel of Time doesn't have the budget of Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings, like I'm saying, if it comes out and it doesn't
Yeah.
hit, if it doesn't hit even slightly, they're canceling it. There's no way
Yeah.
they'll spend another $500 million on a season of television. It's
But
just
Lord of the Rings has a
insane.
standard to like maintain, actually. So they need to
Yeah,
pump that money into it. Because if you get like a less than
you're
stellar
right.
Lord of the Rings, it's just
Yeah.
Amazon will get destroyed by that. You know, they
Yeah.
have to do it right.
You're 100% correct. There's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure whenever you're talking about that IP. Andy Plies here says, thoughts on live action Poppy Wars. I think Poppy War would be better off as an animated series. I think it kind of screams that, but overall, I mean,
Isn't that being talked about? I think I saw a tweet about that. I
what?
think.
Now, if
Could be wrong.
I
Could
mean,
be speaking
I
nonsense.
feel like it's one of those things where it's not like for sure getting adapted, but like the rights have been sold off or something.
Right.
If
Okay.
they did a live
Maybe
action
it's
Poppy
that.
War,
Yeah.
I'm actually going to backtrack at that. I want to see live action Poppy War, because some of the human emotion, if you can get really stellar actors, I think, you want to talk about some emotional digs. I mean, my God. We actually talked about this earlier, Little Book Life, about First Law and Glotka. We were saying Steve Buscemi could be Glotka, the gentleman that plays Loki. Elijah Wood was brought up, which I thought was really
I kind
interesting.
of love the Elijah Wood thing. I kind of love it. Because what a lot of these fantasy shows do is they bring in one big guy to be like, hey, this is like Sean Bean, Game
Yeah,
of Thrones, and they're doing it with Rosamund Pike for Wheel of Time, and
yeah.
maybe it could be bloody Frodo for First Law. Can
It
you
is so
imagine?
cool to see someone that we know and love, like Sean Bean, go from Boromir to Ned Stark. And then it gives me the
So good.
ability as a crackpot content creator to then try to link the two series together with frivolous evidence.
This is not even disputable.
Not
But that's
disputable.
like that was the thing. Like I was like, oh yeah, it's the guy from Lord of the Rings in this new fantasy show. Like that's what I thought of it before I watched it.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I'll be honest,
maybe.
that was one of the main reasons why I started enjoying it. And then they said, ha, 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 you like them? See ya.
Brilliant though,
Brilliant,
brilliant.
brilliant.
Yeah,
I like to think that when Boromir died in Lord of the Rings, that he was reincarnated as Ned Stark
he
in
just woke
another
up
dimension
immediately.
in the Dark Tower. Yeah, that's how when I watch it, that's my headcanon, is that he's reincarnated as Ned Stark, which is it's interesting because he's a man of honor, right?
I
And
just want
Boromir,
him in every fantasy series.
yes,
He's just so good.
yes, 100%. You know, it's crazy. There's a show about French bankers back in the 1500s on Netflix, and it's really good. And it has Richard Madden, who played Robb Stark, and
Yeah.
Sean Bean is in season 2.
Oh, seriously.
The
The
band,
reunion, the
yeah,
boys.
dude, that's actually, if you're into like history and stuff, like it's a
Yeah.
really good show. It's so
What's
good
it
I can't
called?
remember the name.
Oh.
Let me look it up. Richard Madden, French banking show. Oh my god, not
Also, have you seen the
Medici.
Full Monty? Because the Full Monty has Rob Stark in it. Oh, not Rob Stark. Bobby B, Robert Baratheon, and it's just a
Ooh.
bunch of guys who do like a strip show to make money. And he's like really self conscious about his weight. It's just a whole new side to Bobby B you've never seen before.
I don't know if I could watch Bobby B not to be Bobby B. I'll be honest. That'd be rough.
Yeah.
Um, good night, a little book life. Damn, 4 a.m. here in the EU.
Damn. Thank you for joining though.
Yeah, that's awesome of you. I really appreciate you stopping by. This has been super fun.
It's been so good, dude. This could be a 5-hour podcast.
Oh, anytime you ever want to chat, we'll just hit the go live button and we'll do the damn thing.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I looked up that show. It's called Medici, and Richard Madden, the guy who played Robb Stark, actually produces that show, and I think he might write it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, it's really good. It has good reviews too. If you look, I think it's like a 80% on IMDb.
Oh, sweet.
It's very interesting. It has it's a timepiece for the 1500s. It
Mhm.
also has what's his name from Contagion? Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman is his
Oh my,
dad.
pretty good, pretty huge cast.
Yeah, and there's a couple other people that are like notable actors that I don't know their names, but they're in there as well. It's good. It's on Netflix. You should check it out for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, can't watch Bobby B. Not Bobby. Yeah, for real.
He's
God,
just Bobby B forever.
I mean,
He's chilling there in your background.
I know. I know. What a painting,
Glorious.
right?
He nailed it.
Oh,
He
yes.
nailed it.
Actually, funny fact, Andrew Plies in the chat is the person who actually painted this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, that's crazy talent.
Yeah,
Like,
I try
I
to
thought it
motivate
was
him
like
to
a
do
cutout
more.
almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's incredible, incredibly talented.
He could do the whole cast, really. Just like a different colored background for each one.
I
That'd be
could
sick.
go with some Cosmere paintings, man. Like some of the heralds. Like,
Dude, the Cosmere art out there is ridiculous.
So good. How good are the books? The book art.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
We don't get it. We don't get it in the UK editions. It's bloody awful.
Really?
But you guys get those inside herald pieces, which
Yeah.
are ridiculous.
Oh man, I bought the Stormlight Archive and mass market paperback, and then realized that my eyes are getting so bad. I got to creep up to the screen like this, and so then I bought the trade paperbacks, and then I got Rhythm of War as a hardback, and I'm like, well, damn, am I gonna buy these a third time? I haven't bought the first.
I'm gonna end up buying these books like 10 times. Let's be real.
I was happy to donate the mass market paperbacks because I'm like, some kid. We have like a little
some kid.
Yeah, well, we have a community thing, and it's like books for kids and adults, but it's mostly kids, and you just drop them off in like this little box.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I like putting books in there, and I'm like, maybe a kid will, maybe a kid will be me in 20 years on YouTube 3 whenever they have like the third rendition of the site, and he'll be saying, I went to my little book thing and picked out the Stormlight Archive, and that was the end of that.
Hey, dude, you should have signed it.
Yeah,
and the ending of this guy Jimmy nuts.
I should have. I should have put a little message in there, like, welcome to the Cosmere.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah,
he'll be making videos in 20 years. Be like, Stormlight Archive TV show ending was terrible.
Oh my god. The Stormlight Archive stage play is being made.
Yeah, a little free library. Oh yeah.
That's very cool that you can do that.
Yeah,
and someone will pick it up.
We have a phenomenal library system here. I'm actually gonna be using it more. I've started using Libby because Rhythmon told me about it, and I didn't realize how cool of a tool that was to get ebooks and stuff. Because there's a lot of times where I'll get a physical book and I'll want the audio book, kind of like you said when you got to get through it.
Yeah.
I hate buying both. I'm just like, this seems so bad.
Yeah, it seems silly.
Yeah. It hurts. It hurts the soul.
Yeah.
So I've been using Libby to get like either a ebook version and then I buy the audiobook or vice versa. And it's really worked out pretty well for me.
How does that work? What is it?
So Libby, you basically just sync up this is crazy. You sync up your library card to it in an app. And then whenever you have things available in your library, you can actually check them out through Libby and you can send them to your Kindle or your Audible account. I'm sorry, not your Audible account. Libby actually plays the audio through Libby, which they're
I see.
Actual player in there. I think their player is better than Audible's.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have many complaints about Audible, to be honest.
I don't either, but Libby just has a really, really nice media player. And
cool.
I do sometimes have issues with Audible in their seeking, and I haven't had any issues with Libby so far. So I don't know if it's available in Australia, but you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but that's cool. Yeah, like I read enough to have like my one free audiobook be enough to match up with what I'm reading on Audible.
I definitely go through like 2 or 3 now, I feel, because I've been doing it 2x times. And it was so cool because like the libraries are closed because of the pandemic. So I literally just signed up for a library card online, put it in my Libby, and like within 5 minutes, I had full access to the library.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah. And being able to send stuff to my Kindle is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's perfect. Awesome. Do you read on your Kindle often? Or?
I was about to ask you the same thing. Yeah, so I switch back and forth between a lot. If I pick up a book for 99 cents, like for instance, like Way of Kings was 99 cents, I have it on ebook. And I find my brain, and we talked about ADHD earlier. So a good way for me to focus is I'll read 30 pages in paper, and then I'll go to my ebook and read. It's just something different in my brain.
Yeah.
And I really like the whisper sync that Kindle has whenever you can sync the audio. I've said that before, but I really like that. Do you read on Kindle or no?
No, I don't even have one. I've just paperbacks.
Maybe whenever I get my now that I have 2,000 subscribers, again, thank everybody. Maybe I'll send you a Kindle because Amazon's gonna be rolling in that sponsorship money. You know what I'm saying?
We can plug it, man. I mean, I expect 51% of the revenue.
Yeah,
but we can do it.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Headcanon also said something I really like. Another great thing about Libby is that when I'm in a situation where I can't have a book, I'll read on my phone instead of going on social media. I've actually been reading on my phone a lot more since I've gotten Libby as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's it's a good way to switch what you do on your phone to something a bit more productive than just endlessly scrolling.
Doom scrolling. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think a question, and maybe one of my last questions to you, is what is your most anticipated thing that you have not read that isn't Cosmere related that you can't wait to get into?
Well, it was Wheel of Time, but I'm there now. So besides Wheel of Time, and it was before that First Law, so I'm cutting those two out. Let me look back at my shelf. Probably Gentleman Bastards, actually.
Really?
Everyone has really hyped that up to me, and I've got Liza Locklamora ready to go.
Yeah, I've had man, it's funny you said. I've had countless people tell me Liza Locklamora is right up my alley. With people who've see my reviews and hear what I'm saying and hear me talking the long form, they're just like Liza, Gentleman Bastards, right where it's at. My big hang up with it is that it's unfinished, but I believe it was Chris Bookish Culture. Somebody told me they're like, actually, this novels stand alone pretty well on their own, and it isn't as heartbreaking that they're not finished. It's just that you want more.
Okay.
So I think that those are back on the table for me soonish. It's interesting that you said that, just because I was thinking about that the other day. What about it is making you so excited about reading it?
It just seems like a good time. It seems like a little bit shorter. I'm not really craving like another Stormlight or another Wheel of Time. I think those two are enough of like a commitment. I'm looking for more like contained like trilogies that are like fun.
Yeah, I definitely am, especially while I work through Realm of the Elderlings and Dark Tower, which are two massive series. I've been looking for like those really good standalone books, right? Like, and like War of the Flowers was really good,
right?
By Tad Williams. And I'm looking for more and more of those. I think Paranisi is another one I'm going to check out.
Yeah, that was big on BookTube when it came out.
Yeah, people seem to really like it. I think my next series is Malazan. And yeah, I know. I'm gonna try it. I'll be honest. I'm not sure where it's gonna end up with me. I'm going into it with an open mind, an open slate.
Well, you said in books you don't want everything to be explained.
Well, it's gonna test that.
You're gonna, exactly right.
Yeah.
Let's see how you go.
Yeah,
that's what's terrified me. Like, I don't know if I feel like you got to commit.
Yes.
Everything to Malazan. Like, you can't read that with anything else.
Yeah, you can't even read like the news.
No, it is just you're in it.
Like, there's only so many like words per day that your hard drive up here can like store, and you gotta like keep them for Malazan, because if you mess it up, like you gotta start all over. It's like roguelike video game. Like if you die, it's starting over.
It's the Dark Souls of epic fantasy.
I don't even know if that's necessarily true. I've actually Rid has really turned me around on the difficulty of it. Obviously, there's things that are going to feel obtuse about it because of the nature of the story, but it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. But after that, I'm like thinking like I'm going to smash Realm of the Elderlings, Dark Tower, and Malazan this year. And like,
jeez, that's ambitious as hell, man.
I mean, I still got to finish Will Time, but I'm not in a rush with that.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the next big series?
Like big as in like genre defining big.
Yeah, like I'm trying to figure out. Like I'll tell you, one is Black Company by Glenn Cook. I'd really like to check that out. I think Prince of Nothing sounds pretty interesting. That's a trilogy, but like I'm really taking out like the who's who. I'm a hitman.
You're doing you are a hitman. You're doing all the huge pillars.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder as well where my next big series will come from. And I know it is funny because there's something in the back of my head and I can't think of it right now. But I eventually will, and then I'll be reading later tonight and be mad. But Andrew says, "Did y'all touch on Name of the Wind?" That is something that I've been really considering
That's
actually.
King Killer, right?
Yeah, I've been thinking about reading that. Like I did A Song of Ice and Fire the first time. I've been thinking about reading a chapter a night.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that.
I've heard.
I can't do that. I need more than a chapter.
Well, you're a serial reader, so when
I
you're in, you're in, and that's how I've been up until this point.
yeah.
Realm of the Elderlings, Dark Tower are working. I think serial reading ends up with me being more in tune with whatever is going on. Like I comprehend and retain a lot more when I do that.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's like what I like to do because like with these huge series, they're kind of designed for you to kind of spend a lot of time in there and get really in depth into it. So I feel like I'm missing things if I'm juggling too many,
Yeah,
but maybe I'll get better.
I've even had like there's some things in Dark Tower like a word will be the same as Realm of the Elderlings, and I'll be like, wait, what? Like
Yeah,
are these
which
things?
one am I in?
Yeah, I've done that. I really have. So we have my first Mistborn novel will be in the mail tomorrow. Well, hey, that is one that either people love or hate, or it depends. I love book one. I shouldn't say I love. I liked book one. Christian though is a huge fan. So
Yeah, I thought like I really, really enjoy Mistborn. I think it's just really, really damn good. Like
I
it's
think
just
there's a lot to like.
so yeah, I just think it's like I can see it in my head. It's so clean. It's so like it's one of those things I'm like, this needs to be adapted. Those are one of the ones where I'm like, it kind of needs to be because I
It
just
would be
feel like
very
it,
interesting to see Alamancy. I agree.
yeah, like Almacy is so visually pleasing to me.
Yeah. If I take Mistborn as just the book one, I have a a much higher opinion. When I
Yeah.
consider what my experiences were with book two and three, uh, not so much. I think book three is actually pretty good. It's just that book two soured me so bad that I ended up not caring about book three. But
Oh my god, Petric's here. Sorry, I got really excited.
the man, the myth, the legend, ladies and gentlemen,
Just as we're winding down, he shows up.
Patrick Leo. Let me tell you something about Patrick. First off, Patrick is not just the greatest reviewer on Goodreads of all time. Patrick has also been someone who has been a good friend to me. And if it wasn't for Patrick, we've hit 2,000 subs today. And if it wasn't for Patrick, I would be nowhere near and all of my, esteemed colleagues in BookTube. But recently, Patrick featured me in a video where he said that I was one of his favorite smaller booktubers. And I can't thank you enough, Patrick, because your support has really made a difference here on my channel, and I'm getting more eyes, and I'm getting to have even more fun conversation because of that. So I appreciate it. And Patrick says, I remember this situation when I read 5 different series. All of them have this hateable king named Janice. I think he's a world hopper. Tremendous.
That's
Tremendous.
crazy. Yeah, Patrick is great.
Yes.
And it's weird because I like knew him from Goodreads, like
I mean,
as a
everybody knows
person.
the name, at least.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend
It
of
truly
Goodreads.
is.
Yeah.
Truly is. And Chris Bookish goes to those chapters are super short. That will take a while. Talking about King Killer. That's kind of my idea is like maybe just like enjoying the ride. Like maybe not. I probably wouldn't even talk about it on the channel if I did it like that. That would just be like an experience,
I'm all about short chapters, by the way. I feel like I struggle a lot with long chapters, and that's all of Wheel of Time.
You are gonna hate Robin Hobb.
No, really? I can't. I'm
Here's
not a
the so Robin Hobb has a rhythm though, and she breaks up her chapters through multiple POVs. So even though it's a 30-page chapter, it feels shorter than that because you're jumping POVs in the chapter.
Yeah, okay.
And there is something to be said when you read 3 chapters and you read 100 pages. Like that feels good. It's one or the other. Like I don't like whenever a book goes back and forth. I'd rather have a consistent page count for a chapter.
Even,
throughout
but
the
like
book.
for me, like even if it's like, let's just say it's Rand in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
If it was a 30-page chapter, but you made it 2 15-page chapters, somehow that just will make me feel better.
You feel like you're accomplishing something.
Yeah,
So
like I need like the dopamine of like new chapter, new
yeah,
little logo. Like
dude,
yeah.
I've been recommending you a lot of things, but truly for your taste in
Yeah.
fantasy, I think you should read John Gwen. I think John Gwen would knock your socks off.
He seems right up my alley, and I'm like, he's so big on Twitter right now, especially with
I'll
his,
send you the books. I'll loan them to you.
The postage will take too long.
Dude, if you made the quality of content that you make for Faithful and the Fallen, I would be so happy because the lore in that world and the wildlife, oh my god.
It looks so like I'm actually I probably should have said that for like series I'm most keen to start reading.
Yeah, me and you have never talked about it either. So like that it's kind of interesting because I really think it's like right up your alley.
Yeah.
Even more so than like Robin Hobb, I'm not even convinced that it would be as big of a hit with you as it is with me. It's one of those series. It either clicks or it doesn't.
Yeah.
I've seen Zhang Gwen, people who like don't like action sequences or don't like short chapters and stuff like that. Like he just works. I don't know what it is about that guy, but he has that secret sauce and he has figured it out. I'm telling you, man.
He's got the secret sauce.
He's got that sauce. Aaron Nichols says Red Rising needs to be read. That is the series that was in the back of my head, and I'm so glad you mentioned it.
Oh, is that it?
That is it. I've everything I know about it. I'm going to absolutely adore it, which is really really cool. Patrick says you're welcome. Hey, congrats for 2,000 subs. Love what both of you are doing. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Dude, it's so cool that you hit 2K midstream. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is probably the ceiling, guys. This is probably as good as it's gonna get.
It's a very exclusive club we're in right now.
Yes, like I said, I'm quitting my job Monday. You know, I don't know what the ceiling is for me talking to my friends from BookTube and reviewing books, but I don't even.
There is no ceiling, my friend.
You know, maybe so, or maybe not. Who knows? It we'll see. Christian, this is for you. It says, "Are you going to read Robin Hobb for the first time? Be prepared to be blown away." I feel like I'm acting like I signed you up.
Yeah, I mean, I am going to read it for the first time at some point.
Yes,
for sure, and I will probably be blown away. Like I've been very aware of Robin Hobb because of our boy George.
Yeah,
George R. R. Martin was always doing panels with her. I'm like, who is this?
They're so fun to watch. They're here on YouTube and they're great.
Yeah. And I was like, she seems awesome. But like, it was at that time where I just wasn't prioritizing reading, you know, but I'll get there.
My advice to you is the next time you feel like reading A Song of Ice and Fire, but you don't want to go back and read it, you should pick up Hop.
Okay.
It's totally different than A Song of Ice and Fire, but she delivers a lot of the stuff the same way, in my opinion, and her writing is phenomenal.
Yeah. Man, you sold me on it. I've just got to get the time.
She's probably the best working fantasy author alive. I really think that. I really think that. I mean,
and well, I need to read it for that reason alone.
I think if you go into it with a mood where like word choices matter, like it's a good read, but you got to pay attention, you know. And sometimes I want that, and sometimes I don't. You know?
Yeah, I usually want that. I usually do too. And then I'll read a Zhang Gwen book, which is very straightforward, but it's still so rich. You know, man. Oh God. Yeah. I can't wait for you to read It's kind of that new age of fantasy where the pace is so quick, but you keep that lore and that depth.
But here's the thing. I think a lot of people miss the mark. Zhang Gwen somehow balances it out. I don't know what he did. I don't know who he sold his soul to. But the guy can get a character over with the audience in such limited page time. It is ridiculous. You should check out his newest book, Shadow of the Gods, May 4th. Check it out.
Is that the one that Patrick revealed the cover for?
Yes.
Which was epic, by the way.
Such a good cover. If you've not seen the Shadow of the Gods cover, I highly recommend you check it out. I got an arc for it, like most other booktubers did, and it was very impressive. It was his best book one by far. So
I was just so hyped that a booktuber like revealed a cover. Yeah. I was so excited by that.
And you know, it's good it went to Patrick because Patrick reaches a lot of people. And Patrick's the reason why I started reading Zhang Gwen.
Awesome, yeah.
That's Patrick's #1 series of all time.
Seriously?
Yeah, Faithful and the Fallen.
Seriously, that's his #1.
If you're here, Patrick, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 99% sure his #1 series of everything Patrick has read is The Faithful and the Fallen.
That is huge. I'm saying we like it's our podcast, but you've got to have Patrick on.
Yes.
You've got to have him on.
This was my plan all along, Christian.
We're calling him out live.
This way we can talk every week. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Favorite covers on books. Honestly, the Stormlight covers are pretty great.
Yeah. I love the Stormlight covers, and I love the Abercrombie covers. Holy shit, they're good.
Yeah, Abercrombie covers. I actually really like the UK editions of Realm of the Elderlings. They're very simple, but I like them a lot. Honestly, best covers, I think, though, Rage of Dragons and Fires of Vengeance. Those two book covers are so
Those are good.
sick.
Those are very good. Not my favorite though. Michael Whelan's the guy who does Stormlight and Wheel of Time.
Oh,
He does them
yeah.
both.
I love the Wheel of Time covers. They're so pulpy. I love
Yeah.
them. You know
Yeah.
what? Wheel of Time gets the cover award for me.
They're just the classic
slap.
fantasy that's like they make the book look awful, but they just make it look so bad. But they kind of work. They kind of work.
Yeah, they really do. I think so. And sometimes those pulpy covers work, sometimes they don't. But in that case, they definitely do. Even some of the older Hob covers are pretty. I really like the live ship mass markets for. There's ones that are terrible, but I have seen a couple. I think there might be newer even that are pretty good. I have the UK editions because Pinky's up. I'm fancy.
I really do like the Wheel of Time ones you guys have got there. It's like you get the art in like a little rectangle.
Yes.
And it's like just a plain color in the background. Those are pretty clean. I like those.
They're clean. I still prefer the mass market paperback ones.
Yeah.
I really do.
There's more of an energy to them. Bit more of a vibe.
I want to crack it open.
Yeah. You're like, what was this?
Crack that spine. Worst covers of all time. The in-print Game of Thrones with Song of Ice and Fire prints are fucking terrible.
What do you mean imprint?
I just dropped the big F-bomb. My bad. It's my show,
okay.
but
I've already had a few of those. I'm Australian.
Yeah, he's Australian. It's fine.
Yeah. I've got a free pass.
There's something about the way Australians say the F word that just sounds better than whenever I say it.
Rolls off the tongue.
It does not roll off my tongue. I'm very pointed with my speaking.
But it's an impactful one, Yeah. It gets your point across.
It gets
so I want to see these fucking terrible covers right now.
Yeah, that sounded inviting,
Yeah, it's just
Actually, a cover I like, and it's sitting right next to me, is I got the first American print of the Silmarillion. I found it at a used
That is really nice.
Yeah, this was the first edition they printed. I found it at a used bookstore. They had it on their like exclusive.
That's good quality, dude.
Oh, dude, no, this book's sick. It has red marked pages, and the big selling point to it, it's so funny. It says a map is included.
Actually, a map is included.
The map was laser printed, and
that's so good.
Well, we have talked for 2 hours, and
we have talked for far too long.
Yes, and
nobody could care, right?
I don't have anything going on. I do feel bad though because I know it is your Saturday, and I feel like I'm taking up your
time. The rest of my day is literally making a Stormlight video, so nothing changes for me. I'm just doing this by myself.
This is probably a good little segue here. I know you're working on the Death Rattles. Do you have anything else in the pipe coming down?
For me, it's like I want to not move away from Stormlight, but just expand. Yeah. So I feel like the Death Rattles covers many aspects of Stormlight. I'm like, that's Stormlight covered for the moment, whilst I do Wheel of Time, whilst I do other things.
Yes.
So, the Death Rattles, a lot of them you need to explain things. So you end up making lore videos at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think that's just going to cover everything I need to do Stormlight-wise, so I can finally kind of break free a little bit. Because even though I grow faster with Stormlight, it's like I'm going to hit a ceiling pretty quick. Right. And I want to embrace the me discovering all different series aspect of my channel as well.
Yeah, it's why it's lost in discovery.
Yeah, right. Otherwise, I would have been lost in the Cosmere or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a pretty dope name. I'm not gonna.
That is actually pretty cool.
Pretty dope name. You should have thought of that.
That's my second channel.
That's this is my substitute channel. When it comes, I know we talked about reading, but when it comes to content, is there any franchise that gets you kind of pumped up to make content for that you're you have your eye on?
That's an interesting one, because obviously Wheel of Time, there's so much, but I don't feel like I just feel like a stranger still to the world. Okay. Yeah, so I don't feel confident.
Yeah,
but I feel like, and I just feel like there is just people who have read it since the 90s who just know it and they got talent. And it's like, For me, I did Stormlight not only because I loved it, but there was a bit of a gap. Like there was a few good videos that were like in my vein, like some really good ones. But I was like, but I want this type of video for every aspect of it. So it's mainly Stormlight that gets me hyped to do that. But certainly like First Lore is like there's nothing about the lore on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's just me and you.
Is there anything?
It's
Yeah.
you,
Like there's reviews of like the blade itself. Everyone's read the blade itself. But there's a whole world there.
Which is his worst book, by the way. Like they
Would you
only
say that?
Yeah, I mean, worst book that's still great.
Yeah, I guess it's the weakest of the three.
It's the weakest of the three, and then they
Of the
just
first trilogy.
dude. I'm very excited to see what you think of these standalone. I mean,
I know I'm gonna love them.
it's a big step up in my opinion in his writing. And I agree with you. I think First Law is one of the most untapped things. I think Realm of the Elderlings is very untapped as well. But with First Law, the third book is coming out for the trilogy, and this might be the last we see in First Law. Like this might be it.
He just showed the cover, right?
Oh,
like
it looks awesome,
cover.
man.
It looks so good.
The UK covers are so sick. They're so sick.
Usually, like the UK covers, they make them very plain, but actually, Abercrombie's ones are better, like a less plain than the American ones for some reason. It's like a switch.
Yeah.
Like Americans ones have gone for very like block lettering, very like contrasty.
Yeah, I will say Age of Madness, the covers have been pretty good.
I'm not really sure about, like I haven't seen those.
The UKs are still better.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah. But I mean, that trilogy wrapping up, I mean, I know it's a trilogy, but really it's a 10-book culmination. This is the 10th book, you know, in that universe.
Do you get the sense that he's wrapping it up?
Yeah. No. Yeah. He said he's already writing his next. So this book has been done for a year. He finished book 3 when second book already came out. And his next project, I believe, is a series, and it's something totally different.
Dang.
Yeah. This is a big deal. And there's a lot of like we got to start guessing what's happened with Baez. I mean, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I think that me and you could have a lot of fun with some First Law.
For sure. Like I just got to read up. And like
they're not too long, so.
No, the only one that looks quite big is the Heroes. I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, and it's still only 600 pages.
Yeah, everything feels tiny, right? After
like half a Stormlight book.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh man, this has been so good.
Yeah, this has been great, and you just
2 hours and 40. Jeez, time flies. I swear it's been like an hour.
I mean, I wish we would have recorded some of our talk yesterday, and we touched on some of it here, but I mean, we just flowed for like 2.5 hours, and by it was a good way to unwind after getting so mad at Ship of Destiny. So, but I think this is a good place to call it because we're going to do this again.
100%.
We have to. I think
I'm always keen.
Chat, I think you would agree. I think this has been pretty fun. I think Christian has been an excellent guest, and I'm really excited to see what comes for what happens in your discoveries in Lost in Discovery, because any fandom would be rewarded greatly and handsomely to have you make content for it. You make some of the best content on YouTube, not just BookTube, but on YouTube.
Thank you, man.
And, no, and I mean it. I truly do. If any of you are in chat and you have not subscribed to Lost in Discovery, I can't recommend it enough. It's a top 3 to 4 channel that I always talk about, along with like Man Carrying Thing and Rhythma. Just
amazing channels, by the way.
I'm very fortunate that I get to have like this kind of conversation. And the best thing about BookTube is not the subs or any of this. It's having the chat here tonight and also making a friend like you. So
likewise, man.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely. This is awesome. I mean, this is just us shooting the breeze, and it couldn't have went much better, I don't think.
No, it was great. Loved it, man.
And I don't think I made anybody too angry with my Mistborn jabs, so that's good.
I'm always here to just calm you down about Mistborn. Don't worry. We need to do a Mistborn talk, to be honest.
I'm down.
I'm like, there's so many question marks I got to ask you about Will of Ascension. I
actually would love to do that, and I would really like to have you on and talk about where do we see the tie-ins for Mistborn in Stormlight. I would love to have that conversation.
Oh yeah, there are many.
And then we would have to mark it as spoilers, right?
Yeah, that's the issue.
So tell the people of the Fantasy Network where they can find you, not just on YouTube, but across all of your social media platforms.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I have to. I've never done this before. You can find me actually Lost in Discovery. Just write it into YouTube, I'll show up. And some bastard took the name on Twitter, so I'm Lost_Discovery
The best.
over there. They took my little in. So
Well,
yeah, Lost_Discovery on Twitter. That's it.
That's perfect. And people go follow him on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on his channel. You can find me as at the Flockavelli on Twitter, or just search Jimmy Nuts. I still walk a Flocka Flames, the rapper's album name from him, so he couldn't take it. Fun fact. And
I've always wondered. I'm like, what is this
yeah
handle?
There's another really good side story to that I could tell at another time. But
Yeah.
yeah, make sure you go follow Christian and check out Lost in Discovery here on YouTube. And again, thank you so much, Christian, for being here. And chat, thank you for being here. This is definitely the highlight of my week. I thought about it all week, and it lived up to all my expectations. So we're gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna get another guest lined up. I already have someone in mind. Got to reach out, make sure that they're good, and we will definitely be having Christian back on in the future. But I hope. Are you not on Instagram? Are you on Instagram, Christian?
No, I'm not on Instagram. I've thought about it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it just felt like Twitter was where it was like the discussion was happening.
Yes, I agree.
I was just like, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares to follow me on Instagram. But I don't know if people want it.
I
But
have
yeah,
an Instagram and I don't use it. So it's
yeah,
worthless to follow me on there. But
yeah.
well, I hope everyone has a good night. And until I see you next time, I hope you're safe, healthy, and happy. And remember to always keep turning the page. I'm going to end the broadcast now.
Awesome.